Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So with me here tonight, we have, as always, Jenny Morgan.
Hi.
And tonight we have Mage Grey Wolf.
Hello, everybody.
And let's see, in the side chat, I see Native Atheist, Skits Crasher, and Uncle Beck. So, this is going to be Slothgrl's birthday stream. It is technically not her birthday yet, but in 2 hours it will be.
I think,
and that's legit because she was actually born in this time zone.
Well, these streams usually last at least 2 hours, so we should be covering it.
It's actually very hard for me to ever wrap these things up in only 2 hours, so I'm sure we'll run over.
No, I'm gonna shut up as soon as 2 hours comes along. Boom, I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
Heck, if I thought we were only going to go 2 hours, I could start drinking now.
Well, you can start drinking. No, I'm not going to stop you.
No, yeah, that's the problem, is that no one can stop me. So if I get drunk halfway through the stream, nobody can shut me up.
Well, that's one way to fill time.
Yeah, no, that's just, it's not right. Not when I've got to be in control of things.
Control freak.
Okay, there's Will. So, what do you people think? What's your favorite way to celebrate a birthday?
I'll sometimes buy myself a gift, go out for dinner, just hang with my friends.
Hello. How is everyone?
Okay.
Hello.
How are you doing there?
Well, are my fans loud?
Don't hear anything.
Okay, cool. Then I can actually stay cool and speak to you.
In fact, I may be hanging out with you guys on my birthday. It's on Wednesday this year.
Purple. You failed to read your disclaimer. Purple's dead.
What?
It's not intended for children. And since we're allowed have one F-bomb, and keep it PG, so if you're a kid, fuck off.
I love you, Mage. I love you for that. You could come work at my theme park.
And Marie joined in.
We need people like
the other disclaimer about nothing on this channel should be taken as legal or medical advice. If you are taking legal or medical advice from anyone on the internet, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Oh crap, this is live.
Oh no.
I didn't get the thingamajig.
Hey, so how did the Queen's party go? Do you know I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching it last night?
I only clicked so I could join before you went live, so I could do racisms with Will.
It looked like they had a really neat display of flyovers.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Okay, what was that thing with the trans flag over the palace? Is that legit, or did somebody just make that up?
There were several protests, but you'll never hear me say this, but the London Metro Police acted so fast, I was impressed. I watched it live. They bagged and tagged these guys and dragged them away from the army.
Oh, somebody unauthorized flag.
Live on TV. I saw it.
Jesus.
What you've got to realize, Will, is just when your president goes anywhere, what you don't see behind the scenes is, those guys with the silly hats. Yes, they've got guns, but what you don't see, obviously, is on every rooftop, you've got snipers. So
Oh yeah.
It's under control.
When there's a big state function and the cops are swift to put down protesters, not sure if that's necessarily a good thing.
I met George Bush a long time ago with my father, and although he was really nice, you could tell. Like my dad told me, don't move fast and don't be twitchy. there were cops everywhere, so I get
Good
it.
advice.
It's always fun being at those kind of events.
It's a fun fact because
That was amazing.
you American types tend to think that we don't do the shooty boom boom sticks, but I can tell you now that there were hundreds and hundreds of secret people surrounding that place, and on every rooftops there were people with sniper shoot guns.
Oh yeah, no, I was thoroughly impressed because they were trained well. They hogtied him and dragged him off with less than 30 seconds. At least the first guy. It takes skill to do that too.
Yeah, and guess what? You don't need the cops to have guns to do it. Just gonna put that out there, okay?
Well, to be fair, you don't need guns for people waving signs.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
And the cops don't need to have guns if the people in the crowd don't have automatic weapons.
But if you don't need guns, then how are you going to shoot them?
Look, as the resident California hillbilly, I see what you're saying, you know. But America, do you know? I was watching this thing with Peter Hitchens and Chris Hitchens in 1988, and they said, "What gun control? We have never had gun control. We have never had control on our own fanaticism, and quite honestly, I don't know what it's going to take anymore for anyone to wake up. I'm saying as a whole, as a society."
Yeah,
Yeah.
neither do I.
It
Well,
makes
until
me
1963, it was not something that we really had to think about, except for gangsters who shot the other gangsters and massacres and stuff like that. Then when that
Yeah,
dude
and-
crawled up the tower in Texas
Mm-hmm.
and took out people, that fucking shocked the hell out of everybody. We all stood there just with mouth wide open. What the fuck? Are you kidding? You know, and that's when America changed.
It makes me giggle slightly because a lot of, not you guys obviously, but a lot of Americans do the Britain, your guns are banned, you're not allowed guns. The place that you saw on your TV today, Will, was the most heavily armed place in most of the planet today. There were more fucking firearms there, but you didn't see them.
I get it. No, I
we has
completely-
the guns. We has the guns.
No, well, there was a guy who turned around, and when he went to put cuffs on the guy, he was clearly wearing an MP5, but he had it on his back. He didn't have it in forward position like an American would.
We're very civilized, Will.
Oh, you are not good.
We are.
So I've been to your country, and that's a load. I've been to I partied hard.
Here's the thing, Will. We're racist, but civilized.
I still have a hangover from when I went there 20 years ago when I was 21. If not longer. Gosh, has it been that long? No, it's been 22 years since I've been there. Anything interesting happened in your country in the past 22 years, Stool?
Fuck you, you dick.
Anything I should be aware of?
No, nothing interesting ever happens there. They're still stuck with the same queen.
Were you there? Were you there for the millennial change?
No, I was there after I traveled around after September 11th.
Okay.
So I did a lot of traveling in the era of like I would show up with flip-flops on with no socks with the A shirt on with shorts, like, you know, I would get searched every time, every bag. I didn't care because I got to travel, and it was worth it because I got to see things that I'll never see again, you know.
So what you're saying is they pretty much knew you were an American from 100 yards.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I'm going to tell you one thing about traveling. It's your shoes that give you away. As far as American go, like we're fancy. The only other people that wear trainers are people from the UK. Like we sport Nikes and Reeboks and New Balance, you know.
That's the racist thing ever. So literally you're saying now that the only people who can afford trainers are Americans and British people.
No, but when I went to Sinaloa, Mexico, every single person was like playing Spot the American with me, and everybody was like, "It's your shoes. It's your shoes."
I wore
Hi, Katie.
Dark Martin in boots.
How is everyone tonight?
Yeah, I'm not traveling abroad until I get my Minnesota accent back because everybody thought I was Canadian then.
I would get a lot of your country's cool, but I hate your president.
Oh, that's
'Cause it
okay.
was-
It's mutual.
Well, it was the George Bush era. And the funny thing is I heard that in Canada more than anywhere else.
Hey, Ox. Hey, Sydney.
Hey, Ox. Well, I mean, Minnesota is the, the bastard child of Canada that they won't claim. The people that I know from Minnesota are very similar to people that I know from Canada. Same
Yeah,
boat.
well, Minnesota's Canada Light. I always say that.
Gouldsbury, Maine. Look it up on the map. It is the most northern city, I believe, in America. It's eye level with Toronto, but you're still in America.
I was in Minnesota once.
Where I was living in Michigan, I was so far north that parts of Canada were south of us.
Yeah, exactly. Geography is funny that way.
No, never mind, Perp. I'm not gonna counter that one.
Right. We're supposed to keep this happy. This is about
Yeah.
Slothgrl's birthday today.
Well, when I was in Minnesota, I visited the Mall of America.
Oh, I did too. Awesome. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm still proud that
Big.
I've been there.
What did you think about when you walked out and you saw an amusement park in a mall?
That was neat.
I
We
don't
walked,
think. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
we
go
walked the border, just around the border of it. Took 30 minutes to get around on just one level.
Exactly. I try to
We
explain.
didn't
to
even, we
people
didn't
how-
even go into any of the stores.
It's the largest mall I've ever been in my life, and I've been a lot of places. It's huge.
Well, when it was built, it was the largest mall in the world.
Yeah, I think there might be one larger in Texas now.
It's always
Yeah,
Dubai
it's
too.
been outdone by now, but
Yeah, but it's in Texas, so
I mean,
let's do it.
Texas is compensating for a lot of things.
Half
as
the
far as
male
I'm concerned,
population, half the male population of Texas has a micro penis, and the other
as
half.
far as I'm concerned, the only reason for going to Mall of America is it's the only Lego store in Minnesota.
Good reason.
We have a Lego store like right down the street, but that's the benefit of living in a tourist town. We have a Legoland here too.
I have to drive about an
Same.
hour or two
Yeah.
to find a Legoland.
You know,
Well, and that's for me. The Mall of America is about an hour and a half drive.
Perp, I have a weird Lego question for you since we're keeping it happy. Have you ever seen Clutch Powers? It's a
Yeah.
Lego movie.
I don't know if I ever saw the movie. I know I had minifig of the character.
Clutch Powers, it was on Netflix forever. You should check it out. It might still be on there. It was the original Lego movie before the Lego movie. It just didn't catch on.
Yeah, well, they did several of their own themes with their own characters, and I think some of the older ones would be worth revisiting.
Well, it took off with like Ninjago and other series they had on the Cartoon Network. Isaiah
Yep.
damn near bought half the set of Ninjago and Lego City. I'm trying to think what other shows there were.
I actually liked Legends of Chima.
Wasn't bad.
I loved Legends of Chima. I still have a Krager around here somewhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was at a time when I was still raising 3 kids, so I couldn't afford to buy any toys for myself. There's a lot of those sets I would really like to get.
I trip out because like something like Chima is kind of rare, and like Isaiah trashed all of those.
Ooh.
All of
It's pretty hard to trash Lego. You can put them back together.
What he did is he would match the guys, and my OCD was like I can't even sit in the same room. Like if Clutch Powers didn't have the right hair, I am like, no, I can't do this. I can't do
Hey, yep,
So what is Slothgrl doing for her
that's the
birthday?
pandemic Triceratops. That one was only available during the pandemic. Now they've repainted it.
I think my son got 2 of them actually, and I'm surprised he kept his little flower together. His little Audrey flower. Usually he'll put things together and then take them apart. But I know Lego make you happy, purple. So
Yep, I've got one of that Triceratops. I only got one. Although I did get the baby Triceratops and I did get the Ankylosaurus.
I'm gonna go and take, like, when things settle down a little with the pandemic, I'm gonna take my son to Legoland. I will totes get you a souvenir and send it to you.
Awesome.
Jenny, I have a question for you.
Go ahead. Ask
What
away.
happened to what's his last name? I can't say it. The Greek kid.
The Greek kid. You mean
From-
the basketball player?
Yeah.
Antikopoulopoulos or something like that.
Thank you. I can't say it either. What happened to your team? I thought you guys, because right now I'm watching. Boston is actually beating Golden State. West Coast all the way. If anyone forgets.
Well,
Not a
Boston beat the Bucks 4-3, 4 games to 3, and I think the last game was not really so much a blowout, but it was like I guess like 10 points or something. Boston's a good team this year, and I hope they kick the shit out of Seth Curry and all them West Coast babies.
I'm biased. They're winners. You know, they're the modern day Chicago Bulls.
Well, I'm watching the Orville. The new season started today.
How'd that go?
I haven't seen the new season yet. I'm still on the last episode of season 2.
I have to admit I did not get into it because I'm such a Star Trek homer. Is it a good show?
Yes, it's very much like Star Trek. Its good description is Star Trek without the stick up its ass.
Maybe Star Trek likes that stick right where it is. That's Starfleet standard issue. I just got done watching Strange New Worlds, so I'm hyped up and ready to defend. No, because everybody's such haters nowadays. Like everything is so negative.
Guilty.
It is a great show. It's a great show.
If you dare do a spoiler,
I'm not going to. It's not to scale. They've changed a lot of things. They're woke. Get over it. It's woke Trek for a reason.
Got it. Preachy as hell.
Yeah, but aren't we all?
Okay. There has never been a Star Trek that wasn't woke.
Exactly. Do you know?
In the 60s, they were dealing with with issues of race, which for that time was very inflammatory. And certain episodes they wouldn't even show in some parts of the country.
And fun fact about Enterprise, season 2 and 3 were completely dedicated to like September 11th, the Iraqi war, and alienating people.
You know what,
So
Will?
rewatch it. It's awesome. Awesome series. Yes.
Controversy incoming, okay?
Okay.
Enterprise was fucking awesome.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
So
I don't know.
fuck you if you disagree.
I don't know why people. Mage, do you like Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula?
As its own show, it was pretty good. As in the whole of Star Trek, it was so.
They changed canon because of that show. I love that show. Do you know they wear the uniforms now and everything because of that show?
It was a very sad thing because such is the way of American television. It's all based on ratings, and they have to change things. And of course, they changed the fucking theme music because fans said the theme music to Enterprise was shit. Well, fuck you. It was awesome.
Go to a
Seriously,
con and
suck
sing
my
that
cock.
song.
It was fucking awesome theme tune.
The original was decent.
It was fucking awesome.
Slothgrl.
So
I do.
I want to see if anyone backs me up on this one. The Orville is to Star Trek what fucking Galaxy Quest is to Star Trek.
Ooh, okay. Ooh.
Kinda, yeah. Now,
That sounds fair.
Oh, it is fair.
Maybe
But
not quite.
let me tell you.
Maybe in the humor department, yeah.
Okay.
This is
to be
this is a
fair-
thing that really confuses me because, as you know, I don't understand Americans. Now, Orville, Star Trek, they are two completely different things. The only similarity is spaceships. Orville is humor. Orville is
No.
comedy.
The,
Oh, and
the Orville,
kids.
the Orville has the same sort of messaging that you see in the original series. He's in TNG, except
But
it's
it's
done
got
in
the
a
humor
humorous
of like
way.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, except it has
Galaxy
the
Quest was
humor.
amazing, though. Like Galaxy
It's-
Quest was if the Star Trek fans got to
It-
write a movie about the Star Trek cast being abducted by real aliens. Like
Galaxy Quest is fucking awesome.
and kids, this is called a VHS. This is a tape. Oh, it's backwards. This is a
Oh, yeah.
tape.
I
I'm an
remember those, Will.
archaeologist.
Put it to your ear.
I'm a real archaeologist. What?
Yeah.
What?
You've got to put it to your ear, and you can hear
I
the
love
film.
this movie. I have it actually in the VCR behind all of this by my laundry. Like I love that movie.
I got to
absolutely-
actually see Galaxy Quest in the theater. So it was a special thing with one of my daughters. So
Permission to be sexist.
I love Andrew. Yes, Andrew. See, Andrew knows what's up.
I can't remember the name of the lady who plays the character in Galaxy Quest. What is she called?
Sigourney
Um,
Weaver.
That's not Galaxy Quest.
Yes, it is.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, show me the VHS, you dick.
yeah,
Sigourney
it-
Weaver. She just
it
had really
doesn't
good
really
makeup.
look like her there, but it
Make
is.
it bigger. Make it
She
bigger.
had really in the middle.
Oh no, I'm talking about the lady on the left with the red.
That's Sigourney
That's
Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
That's not
Yep.
Sigourney Weaver.
Hollywood is
Yes, it
nothing
is.
but
It's
Hollywood
Sigourney
is nothing,
Weaver.
No, Hollywood is
shitting
nothing but
me?
lights, glitz, and camera
Nope.
tricks.
It was
Hollywood
Alan
is-
Rickman, Sigourney Weaver, and Tim Allen.
I've
Those
Oh my
are the
gosh.
three main stars.
I've seen Tom Cruise in real life. He is 5'3". Hollywood is nothing but lights, glitz, and camera tricks.
Listen, I know how the tricks work. That is not Sigourney Weaver. No.
That is, man, don't make. I would get a copyright strike. I could literally turn this computer around and show her to you right now.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's just
yeah,
good makeup.
It throws a lot of people just because she was in there as a blonde, and everybody's used to seeing her with dark hair.
Oh, and
And
Tom
a very
Cruise is
different hair-
5'7".
A
Oh my
very
gosh, you've
different
just-
from Sigourney Weaver haircut.
I've had an epiphany.
How tall is Tom
Oh.
Cruise, Mage?
5'7".
No way. I've seen him in real life. Halle Berry. Okay, I'm 5'9" with my shoes off. Tom Cruise was about to here. Halle Berry was like right here. I was standing at the red carpet. They needed extras, and I was just some baked 19-year-old
I've been
idiot.
within 10 feet of Cruise or the idiot when he was practice race car driving for that one movie of his. And there's no way he's 5'7".
No
There's
way.
no way.
He
Tiny.
paid for that. He paid for that. There's no way. That's like I went on my real name and I went into Wikipedia and said that I'm a billionaire. You could do anything. Change
Yeah,
it to anything.
There are no heels. There are no heels in racing shoes.
Well, I'm seeing Halle Berry is 5'5".
She's smaller than that too. I was shocked. She's really skinny too. I was really shocked.
so flabbergasted about this. Godless
Yeah.
scummer, I see you inside chat. Jeff, I honestly had no idea.
Yeah, thank
feel-
you, Jeff. Thank you.
I feel really dirty and bad now because
I
wow.
love that movie. I absolutely love that movie.
The original point I was going to make was I loved whoever played that character. I really liked her bottom. I didn't know it was Sigourney Weaver.
Yes,
Sigourney
I
Weaver's a
knew
good
that was
actress.
where you were going with that too.
Yeah, I know you did, perps, because you read my mind, you dirty pervert. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I did not know that. I'm literally flabbergasted.
So
I
yes,
didn't know this.
Kitty, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Enterprise
I'm
is
going
still
to
one of the
feel
greatest shows
unsafe
ever.
around Stool if he ever sees my bottom.
Oh, do you have a don't go to jail ass or what? That's what we call it. Don't go to prison.
Well,
Oh.
all my life, gay men have been fascinated by it.
I have a scoop. I have a scoop. I
I
have a
have
don't go
no
to jail.
idea what
ass.
any of these
It's coming-
words mean.
Just coming back around to Enterprise just for a moment, I do think it should have had more seasons than 3.
I
It was
agree.
starting to really get good in that third season.
Absolutely.
I hate it. Did you ever, Will, or anybody else who's a nerd, did you ever watch that thing? I forget what it's called. It was narrated by Gates McFadden and
Trekkies?
Front Row or something. And she
No.
goes through every iteration of Star Trek. So TOS, animated series, blah, 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 blah. There were about 9 episodes to this little series, and it's like a documentary thing. And it's absolutely fascinating. It really is. It's a little bit cheesy because it's American, but it's really fucking fascinating.
There you go.
Slothgrl put a seal on that one. Slothgrl put a seal on it.
And watch it, because if any of you peeps are not old enough to have ever watched the animated series, one of the episodes of this series of documentaries is devoted to the animated series. Watch that one, because wow, it's hilarious. Because the animation, if you're not familiar with the animated series, the animation is hilarious.
I guess it's all
Well,
perspective, Jinzu. It's all perspective.
The animated series was done by Hanna-Barbera.
No,
So
it
it was
wasn't.
basically the same animation.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, that one wasn't.
Are you talking about
Okay.
the 1970s Star Trek?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've just recently watched every episode because of Paramount Plus. I love that show.
It was
Okay,
it was
but-
done by Filmation.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about that particular animated series was they paid so much to get the voice actors. They had the original TOS voice acting in there, that the animation was really crap. And so, which is why it's so hilariously funny.
Yep.
Because they had stock animations. Nothing was ever drawn. They just used the same fucking little animations, copy
But
and
it was
pasted.
awesome. That show was
Yep.
amazing.
Also
I
had a-
love that show.
They also had a colorblind colorist in there.
This is true, yeah. Yeah. Well done, Mage. Well done.
I did
Now I
not
just
know
have this-
about that.
Hey, Diana.
But did you know part of why the animated series ever existed? Was it the intro to the original Star Trek? It says our 5-year mission. That they had actually intended the show to run 5 years, and it got cut after the 3rd season. So the animated show actually took the partial scripts for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember watching the animated thing, and I thought it was crap at the time. But now, I'm probably going to put some effort into going back to watching it, because I can now find it. I think it's funny now.
Oh, Boston won.
Hey, Diana.
Don't worry. Golden State will come back. West Coast all the way. Boston eats
No,
pace.
no, is that 2-1 now?
No, tonight was their first game, wasn't it?
I thought it was the second game.
Let me
I
look.
could be wrong. I well could be wrong.
On Facebook, it always comes up with that thing about it's your birthday. Would you like to, dedicate donations to a worthy cause?
No,
Sloth
I want to keep the money. What?
Slothgrl went and put Diana's GoFundMe in her profile. That
Oh,
she felt everyone should just make donations to Diana for her birthday presents.
That's awesome. And Jenny, the Boston Celtics are up 1-0.
okay.
West Coast.
It'll be 2-0. So.
I'm all for the old guys. I don't like how in sports, when you're in your 30s or 40s, you're considered old. I bought a Brett Favre jersey when he went to the Jets because everybody was like, he's too old. I'm like, no, he's not. He's young. And now that I'm that age now, he's young.
I can't talk about Brett Favre anymore. He's been on television actually supporting Trump. So
He's like Ricky Schroeder. He's lost his damn mind. You know, Ricky Schroeder looks like a hobo. Those silver spoons sure didn't work. Sure didn't help. When I saw him, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, bruh, go get some falsies. Like, I know he's got money.
Now that's what happens when you inherit wealth and you don't know how to handle money.
I know someone that played in the NFL, bought 2 multi-million-dollar homes, put them in someone else's name, and now has nothing to show for their career.
Yeah,
Always
well,
say-
that's why Rockefeller set up irrevocable trusts for all of his descendants, so that nobody can swindle them out of more than a year's interest. They can't get to the actual premiums.
You know, I kind of think what Shaquille O'Neal is doing to his children is cruel, but in a weird way, I think my dad did the exact same thing. He was like, no, I have money, you're broke. Go get a job. So in a weird way, I really respect Shaquille O'Neal because his kids don't live like millionaires, even though they are.
Well, yeah, I definitely think they need to, have the perspective of having to have a job, even though they still won't experience the normal pressures, because it's not like they have to worry about that they're going to be homeless if they can't pay the rent.
Exactly. I do that with my own son. I want him to have like, see, but I'm more on the hardworking side of like, here, let's till the soil. Let's dig this irrigation ditch with a tractor, To me, those are practical skills to have in life.
I gotta cut my lawn pretty soon.
Hey, when I was a kid, we went up to see my grandparents in the summer, and I wound up cutting down a field with a sickle.
That's what I'll be using.
But yeah, that was it. I mean, these weren't cushy luxury vacations. We went up there and we wound up working to keep their property up every year.
Do you know, Stool thinks we're all here shooting each other, but Mage, where I live, if you were swinging a sickle on your front lawn, someone would call the police on you.
Well, I'm just cutting my lawn.
The cops would come up and just be curious, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that would definitely get a visit from the police.
Just saying.
As opposed to a lawnmower with a 22-inch blade.
Again, it's socially acceptable. We are strange creatures. Creatures.
I once made a sword out of an old lawnmower blade.
Oh, don't make me get my spears. I made a spear out of a mop handle and boredom 20 years ago, and I still have it.
Well, using the scythe is actually a lot more effective for me because I have a lot of space I have to get around and stuff with the garden.
This is a file. Actually, where's my other one?
Well, point of interest. When you said, hang on, I'm going to get something, I was thinking you're going to be like a couple of minutes. That's worryingly close to you.
Don't run up to you know what? I'm going to say something. I talk a lot of trash. I run my mouth, but I'm willing to back it up. I made this.
Like a nice spear.
I made this with a file. It's because I have access to a shop. So it's actually a lot easier because I just go up to the ranch, to the wood shop.
Stool, you didn't actually believe all the stuff he says about having a big house and a shop. He lives in that one little room there, and his son lives in the closet.
Mm-hmm. He's a prepper.
I am a real life prepper. No, Isaiah wants to go live at the shop. He's like, there's a shower in here. There's a kitchen. I'm like, we can't live here, bro. We can't live here. I want to live there too. I remember being his age and having the same justification of like, why can't I live in this giant building? I like holding my spear. I can see why insecure people like carrying weapons around. Makes them feel tough.
Hey, I've said that I don't really want a house. I just need a shop with a sleeping loft and a bit of a kitchen.
You know, I'm continuing the crazy legacy of my father. My dad was a hoarder, but he went out. He had his shop and he had kept everything in the garage. And the house, my house was a museum growing up. It was I grew up in like an actual functioning house. So I'm returning the favor, and my son loves it. He has a 3-bedroom house to himself. When I walk in the house,
is a museum. When
he
people
looks at
come to
me.
see him,
Isaiah looks
really
at me
are
like, "What are you
scream-
doing here?" Oh, good times. Now I have the Addams Family song stuck in my head.
So did anybody hear about the shooting today?
A little bit. I haven't heard much, but
Today's shooting in the cemetery?
It's very triggering. I don't even watch my local news anymore.
I heard 5 people were shot. I didn't hear anything more about it.
Well, the person's funeral, whose funeral it was somebody who was killed by Racine, City of Racine police a number of days before.
And then also yesterday, I'm talking about another mass shooting. There were a bunch of 6th graders in Rialto, California, out for their 6th grade last day of school picnic, which is actually tradition here in California because our weather is always beautiful this time of year. Even I did it. And they had footage of a bunch of children having to duck under benches in an open park because people were shooting at each other. And it was not gang related. It was not gang related. It was people going at each other with automatic weapons.
Well, that's the America way.
Yeah. And this was while that was going on at the funeral. Little kids can't even celebrate their 6th grade graduation. And that's quite literally something I did. And every person that grew up in California in my area did the exact same thing. So
Representative from Texas, Louis Gomer, today left a perfect straight man line in Congress that everybody jumped on Twitter. He actually said, and I paraphrase because I don't remember it exactly. What do you think? We Republicans don't have any heart?
Yes. Don't ask me that question.
Well,
don't ask
exactly.
Me
I mean, there was
exactly what we think of you.
Yesterday at a medical center too. I mean,
yeah.
Hell, just over the weekend after Uvalde during Memorial Day weekend, there were 13 shootings just over the weekend.
We've had
17 up to the medical shooting center shooting.
We've had 20 in the past 5 days. 20 like mass shootings where over 5 people die. And that's not to our normal people just shooting each other.
What is really interesting?
I think the definition of a mass shooting is 4 people shot. They don't necessarily have to die. They just have to be hit by bullets.
Yeah.
Skits knows what I'm talking about. It's a Northern California tradition apparently too.
What is fascinating is when, and this is how to you guys, it's not big news because it's a kind of fun / sad game because I hear about these things before you do. And then to count and wait how many hours until you get the news that it's happened or how many minutes.
Yeah.
You would think it would be kind of news flash breaking news kind of stuff, but not in your country. We hear about it before you do. That's fucked up.
To be fair, I kind of have been ignoring my news. I hear about it on Facebook most of the time because someone will say like, "Oh, another one," you know?
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating though. When these things happen, literally within seconds or a few minutes, I've heard about it, and then I think, why are the Americans not talking about this? And it will often take an hour or two before you guys actually start.
Well, you live 6 hours in the future, so you know you hear. Well, like if you hear a shooting happen 2 hours ago, then it'll still be 4 hours before it happens for us.
That will be it. That's science.
Also, the news
Isaiah,
would be talking about nothing but the mass shootings if they actually covered them like they should.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize, like, if they covered all the killings, like if they took a city like Houston or Los Angeles or Seattle or New York, they could dedicate a couple channels to just people getting murdered all day, around the clock, 24 hours.
hmm,
Now, there's your
Maybe
YouTube
they
channel
should
for
to
you.
draw light of how psychotic we are in this country.
Now, there's your YouTube
I
channel
fear
for
that
you.
just further desensitize people, and it would, take mass shootings like Uvalde before they would care. If it's less than fucking 15 kids, nobody will give a fuck.
I think there are on cable. I don't know what it is now that everything's going to streaming, but years ago on cable, there used to be 3 or 4 different channels that would do nothing but true crime stories. That they were able to fill 24 hours a day for 4 different stations on nothing but crime stories, and almost every one of them is a
Okay.
murder.
CNN does that still.
On an
headline
average
news?
day in the U.S., 321 people are shot and about a third of them die. That's just an average day.
Over 106 people on average die from a firearm-related death, and the majority of them are suicides in the United States every single day.
Bruh. Hey.
Having a gun not only increases your chance of dying by, said gun, but it also infinitely increases your chance of killing yourself with that gun. Statistics don't lie.
I don't know how many times I've flipped somebody off and had a gun pulled on me in Los Angeles. When I was 19, there was a guy in an F-150 who I was on Western and good old, which one was it? Was it Sunset or Hollywood? It was Sunset. I was going to work and I flipped some guy off because he cut me off while I was walking through the crosswalk, and he pulled a 45 out. And keep in mind, there's people out. This is a major city. Kids are going to school. The hookers are minding their own business. People are opening their shops, and yeah, exactly. And this guy literally just starts letting out random shots at me. And if anyone knows Hollywood, it has brick everywhere. I ran and jumped under this brick. It's the only thing that saved my life. He did Wild Wild West shootout and took off. LA is not for the faint of heart at all. And that was Hollywood, and Hollywood's gay as hell.
Dude, yeah, I've actually, I know you won't believe this, Will, because you're a bit of a racist, but when I was lost in your county,
I am.
back in the '80s, I kind of liked it, apart from the whole, you're not allowed to smoke here. Well, that was weird. So I'm thinking, because I don't want to get shot, obviously, because I'm a good boy. So when you adopt me and you cook for me on your barbecue, could I have some rollerblades, please? I'd like some rollerblades.
I'm not kidding you. What size shoe do you wear?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because
you want to know the size of my feet, you dirty pervert.
I have size. No, you have a dirty mind. I have size 12 skates.
You're a big boy.
I wear size 13, so my inline skates are size 14. I wear a size 13 boot.
Kitty, close your ears.
And
we're comparing
really
our
good.
shoe size here. Close
I'm
your
really
ears.
good at swimming.
Holy cow!
Yeah, when you
Yeah,
have
but wait, you also got to convert between US and UK sizes here. They're not the same.
Have you ever thought of
There you go.
renting yourself out as a paddle boat?
I did that in my 20s. I still get phone calls. You know, when you have a decent sized paddle boat, you don't even have to have a decent personality. When your paddle boat's big enough, you don't even have to be nice. But yes, I wear size 13 boot. It's ridiculous. And I have to pay more because I have a big foot, and I think that's BS. So I have to, like, if I want a shoe and it's $80, I end up paying $90 to $100 because for some reason anything over 12 is taxed.
Yeah, it's just like the fat tax, anything
think-
that's outside the normal range of sizes.
I think it's kind of cute that you want a shoe.
Yeah, I walk in and say, "Can I have a shoe, please?" I will gladly pay you today for a shoe.
Well-
I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday.
Since I have to be taking the bus now, when I had gone out Tuesday, my first stop had to be to get a backpack and a pair of decent walking shoes. And I just experienced the classic woman problem that they had the most adorable ones in rainbow tie-dye, but of course they didn't have my size. There were like 4 pairs of them there, and they were all size 6.
I have that problem too. Oh, that's funny.
Well, at least 13 in men's is not that horribly unusual. I mean, I would imagine you could go to most major stores and they're going to carry a shoe that size. You should try being a size 13 women's. I'm not, but I know
Okay,
some are, and they can't find shoes anywhere ever.
So because we hate each other, I'm gonna tell you when my sister is 5'4", get ready. She wears a size 9.5, almost 10 in men's. We are hobbits. We just have big feet in my family. But she has you can look at her and see she's a hobbit. She's short and she just has these giant feet. It's a feature in my family. We have
And
giant.
furry toes.
I'm really good at swimming. I'm a crappy boyfriend, but I'm really good at swimming. Hey, with feet as large as mine, they are flippers. I discovered that as a little kid. Like, it's no effort. Oh, I grew up
Yeah.
around pools.
Nope, you can't beat on the swimming. You can't beat my cousin. He was born with webbed fingers.
Oh my!
Now, did he keep those all through life, or?
No, when he was about 3 years old, they had to separate him because it was actually affecting how the bones were growing in some of the fingers.
I was about to say, because I had a thing under my tongue where my tongue was connected, and they snipped it. I was old enough to remember, but they snipped it. Ugh. Yeah, I'm all spare parts. I'm 5'9" with a freakishly large foot, and I have the wingspan of someone who's 6'2". So, Perp, I saw on Twitter. Hold on, I took a picture of it because it was like 3 a.m. and I was laughing so hard. You know Twitter, because I'm always responding to you and Stool. Hold on, let me get in my pictures. There was, hold on, where was it? There was a man who got robbed of his rifle and then ran to his car to retrieve his handgun, and the shootout
Yep.
ensued. That is the
Slothgrl told me about that one too.
Where did this occur?
Oh, I gotta look at the picture. I think I have the wrong phone.
Yeah, I forget what city it was in.
A man who was hoping carrying his rifle at the grocery store was robbed at gunpoint of his rifle. He went to his car to retrieve another gun. A shootout ensued. Bystanders were injured. I took a picture of it. This is a picture of it because I was just laughing. I'm a sick individual. America has just lost its damn mind. And we have a rule, like, don't walk around with a gun if you're not willing to use it. And I know that sounds kind of Rambo,
Well-
but that's exactly what's going to happen. You think you're tough,
But
then you're going to get robbed.
the problem is the city it was too willing to use it. You know, they say that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But then how do you stop a good guy with really shitty aim?
Yeah, there's
Because
collateral
what
damage.
was it? It was 5 or 6 people that got shot who really had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I'd be so
And-
mad if
and-
I got shot in the leg.
And the other truth off of that saying is, up until the moment they pull that trigger, every mass shooter was a good guy with a gun.
Well, and then you also have the fact that, these ammosexuals, like, they're absolutely obsessed with guns, and then, they tend to lean right wing, so then their kids, are grow up with that ammosexual gun culture and, going down those right wing rabbit holes, and that's how you end up with school shooters.
Yeah.
Ammosexual.
Y'all
Huh?
seen
Not bad.
I grew
popular
up as an
thing that's go-
ammosexual though.
y'all
Sorry,
seen the
Jenny.
popular thing that's going down on Twitter right now, where people are passing around pictures
Yes.
of husband and wife and kid with 150 fucking guns laid out on their floor, and these kind of things. It's just sick.
So I'm not kidding you, Jenny. I told a story about the comic book guy that I sold to that was in my house, that they found hundreds of thousands of guns in his house. Well, thousands. He was hiding them, okay? That's pretty common even here in California for somebody to have multiple rifles, multiple handguns. Their wife has the pink Glock, their wife has the pink shotgun. That's like US
but
standard issue.
these people that have like over 100 guns, where do they even get the fucking money for that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a proper AR-15 is going to run you $1,200 to $1,500, maybe.
Yeah,
even,
but a crappy stock is like $8, and then you can build up from there, Amazon style. There are ways to have cheaper builds, but AR-15s are expensive.
The kid that did, I'm not a gun expert, obviously, because I'm saying, but apparently AR-15 is now a kind of a bit of a generic description. So you can get cheap or expensive. And did you see the receipt from the kid who did the shooting at the school?
No.
No, but I heard that they gave him credit to get it.
They got the receipt of his purchases and the actual weapon that he used. It was not expensive in the big scheme of things. It was like a couple of $1,000s. It wasn't.
Oh,
that's a lot of fucking money.
If you spend $2,000, that's a lot. Still, if you spend $2,000 on an AR, you have a top tier. Bushmasters are illegal, so I would never own one. But like, a Bushmaster build, like,
what I meant is in the big scheme of things.
You can build a ghost gun AR-15 for maybe $500-$600.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What I meant is sane people would imagine, if you live in a sane country, you would imagine that to buy something so lethal, it would cost you, in the big scheme of things, a shit ton of money.
No, and
in the big scheme of things, $2,000 is not a lot of money. Obviously, we haven't got $2,000.
Well, it's supply and demand. There's so many of them. They're cheap.
Yeah, that's why you can even buy, like, and that's what. Excuse me. That's the one thing that pisses me off. Like, I kind of get what you're saying, Stool, but for $800 or $900, you can buy the base stock and everything of an AR-15 and be ready to go. So what people do, what you see on TV, people build those. Those aren't, you just don't go to the store and buy one unless you're a total noob. And you shouldn't be owning one if you do that in the first place. Noob. But my whole point is, what you see with the Gravy Navy, with the big guys, they sat around and thought about that. Those are killing machines, Well,
still, if you're buying really cheap guns at $200, $400, and you have hundreds of them, that's still a lot of money.
I agree.
I own one gun, and I have had that gun for over 10 years, and it is locked up away. Now, I have a concealed weapons permit. Very rarely do I actually conceal carry. It's only if I know I'm going to be alone and maybe driving late at night, where I'll have, it to protect myself. But, obviously I need to go back to the range before I carry, considering with COVID, I haven't been to the range, but I did go regularly to the range and I kept in practice with it. And I would not conceal carry until I had been back to the range to get back in the swing of things, because muscle memory will take you far. But if it's been a couple of years, you should stay up to it, which I think there should be licensing restrictions for owning firearms where you have to take classes. You have to go to the range and certify every single year.
Oh,
And I think if you did that, along with a mental health screening when you're getting your certification, you're not stopping people from owning guns if they are truly good guys that, are low risk
I think
and
we're. Oh, sorry.
willing to go
What
that step
what
and do what you need to do to be safe.
what concerns me with everything everybody's talking about right now, especially the Republicans screaming mental illness, is what parameters they're going to set up for a mental illness deficiency so you can't have a gun. They're going to set up whether somebody is like manic depressive, schizophrenic, or some other heavily medicated kind of mental illness. They're not going to get after the real mental illness that people have that pull the trigger, and
Thank
that is
you.
anger complexes
Thank you.
and ego complexes and hate complexes. Those are the mental illnesses they're going for, and they're not going to do it.
Whereas the person with depression with a gun, they're more often than not a danger to themselves rather than others. And people with anxiety, if you have depression or anxiety, like, I'm not going to say it should disqualify you from owning a firearm. But then again, I believe in a right to die. So if you want to take yourself out of the equation, that's on you.
If
I think
you
nobody
were
should be
to,
able to tell you what you can do with your own person. But if it's other people are going to be involved, obviously, if you're going to do like a murder suicide thing, no, that's off the table because you're taking away that autonomy from the other person. But if you're just taking yourself out, Godspeed. Like, far be it for me to tell somebody they need to continue suffering this life, any longer than they feel they can.
so if you were to say that, if you were to take the guns out of people with depressed and that have anxiety, that would be every single America from sea to shiny sea, because most people who pull guns out are depressed, insecure, or trying to prove something, or people. One thing, Jenny was talking about mental health. Okay, there are people who do not realize their own actions. How many people are sitting in prison right now, still not realizing they ruined someone's life and every person around them? How many people? We have a lot of sociopaths walking around, with firearms.
It's not like the Republicans will actually do anything about mental illness.
Exactly. I think I was about to go off about mental illness before Jenny said something, but it is true. As someone who works with special needs adults, we ignore mental health in this country so much. People have become so individualized, so arrogant that we have forgot that we are part of a whole. I laugh every time someone gripes about taxes or something, or something that they don't understand. Like, people have
How
lost their
many
mind.
people even realize that they're having a problem and they'd like to see someone about it, but their insurance won't cover it?
That's another thing.
Because when my insurance bounced mine back, I was getting bills for $1,000 a month for my therapist.
Even if I got $1,000 bill for anything medical, I'd be dead.
I'm with Slothgrl 100%. I remember doing my homework. I still write my journal with a pencil because I'm old and tactile. But back to what we were saying yesterday, no one will be able to read my writing in the future, apparently. But they'll know that I own Galaxy Quest, and Stool didn't know Sigourney Weaver was in the movie.
Sigourney Weaver's been in a lot of movies where she has just this minor role, many times very self-deferential, and I admire that she doesn't have to have the big main, starring role for her to go into a film. It's kind of a great attitude.
We call that old school Hollywood, because like old school Hollywood, you'll watch a movie and you'll see like, what's so and so doing in the movie? They were bored. They walked on set and was like, all right, I'll sit. I'll be the coffee guy.
Wasn't her father Charlie Weaver? That old Hollywood actor. Little short guy, wore a funny hat, was quite rotund, sharp.
Alexa, was Sigourney Weaver's father Charlie Weaver?
This might answer your question. Sigourney Weaver's father is Sylvester L. Weaver Jr.
That didn't answer my
Okay.
question, but thank you, robot that's always listening.
That sounded like Charlie Weaver's not it. So
No, it's not. And like, if you say like Gwyneth Paltrow, or if you bring up Drew Barrymore to the A word, she goes off because you know they come from actors.
ooh,
Okay,
they're just showing on TV a clip of the Queen's little procession with the horse-drawn carriages and everything. There's just tons of poop on the street. Ew.
So when I was a kid, I was in the Boy Scout, and we used to march with the Vietnam veterans and all the people of foreign wars. And I asked the dumbest. I remember everyone looked at me like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Why do we always march first?" And they were like, "Bro, you don't want to walk behind the horses." But as a kid, you know, because we started off the parade, it was nerve-wracking. I was a little kid, you know. Oh,
I remember being in parades like that.
my town still does it. I take Isaiah every year. It's an excuse to wake up blurry-eyed and
I was in a few like that with the Boy Scouts.
I think it's awesome. And if you take all the flag shagging and flag humping away, it's just good to like when there's a parade, I just walk out to the main avenue. I see my neighbors, I see people, and it's just people interacting with each other. And we're not like in our cars flipping each other off or going to work, you know, crying in our cars on the way to work.
So we've got this weird little thing going on over here in UK land at the moment. You might have heard about it, called the Queen's Jubilee. And
Mhm.
so we've literally got, we've had a 3-day week. We've got a 4-day holiday to celebrate this crap. So there are a hell of a lot of flag shaggers around. And those people, oh God, they do my head in. But Will makes a good point. You know, a lot of people, they might enjoy a little bit of flag, but they're not masturbating about it, you know. They're just having a nice time, enjoying the weather, being friendly. And that's a good thing.
Well,
Yeah.
you
But
guys should celebrate your queen. I mean, she's been queen for 70 years.
You know, I'm
what she's done for you guys. She's getting you in. She's giving her all to get you in the Guinness Book of World Record. You know.
I'm
We
not.
call that mooching, Jenny. We call that mooching.
I always find it very difficult when I have to talk with Americans about the fact that we have a fucking queen, because Americans tend to go, ooh.
We have a queen too, RuPaul.
Yeah, but RuPaul at least had to get noticed to be a queen. The ones in Britain just had to be born to the right parents.
And there you go, you see. So it's an absolute waste of time me trying to have any kind of conversation about this with Americans, because you've all got that whole, 76, ooh, boom, boom, and you don't get it. I've no problem whatsoever
defense, though.
with, whoa. Kitty. Are you daring to stand up for you're an American?
Let me finish. In the Queen's defense, she was a very young woman, and she was a fucking badass in World War II. Like, she stepped up and, you know, like, she did a good job, like, then. Now, I have issues with imperialism. I have issues with the monarchy just in general. But her as a person, I think, you know, she kind of had the crown just kind of dumped in her lap due to circumstances beyond her control.
Got it.
And the status of her birth. But she did step up in World War II, and I think she was a champ for that.
Yay, she has not. Yay, she collected Nazi gold and it's still in her house. Yay, let's all cheer.
Oh, here he goes with all the American claptrap.
I told you. I've been to your country. I went to your country to find the greatest collection of African art, and I found it.
And
at your Natural History Museum.
Did you steal it?
No, but I will
Well,
and make a
you're
movie
not.
about it.
Then you're Britishing wrong.
It'll be oh, what was
Eddie
that?
Izzard, do you have a flag? No flag, no country. Can't have one.
It'll be me and Pierce Brosnan. Is that his name? That was
Oh,
such a
listen,
good movie with him and
right.
Renee. What's her face?
Let me do my thing. Let me do my thing and get it out
Alright,
of the
go
way
ahead.
because
Oh,
I
the
will
Thomas
get pissed
Crown
off.
I love that
Right.
movie, Jenny. I love that movie.
I'm not a massive fan of the whole royal thing, and just for the record, most of us in this country are not. So this bizarre perception that Americans have that we are ruled, we are not, and that we all go around bowing and curtsying, that's a complete fantasy. That's not how real life works. Okay? The royal
That's
family.
true. I've seen films of Prince Andrew curtsying all over the place. Come on.
Yeah, I've seen films too, but whatever. I tend not to believe most of the films that I see on the Pornhubs. That's just me.
I agree with you, Bree, but like when I was a little kid, I went to Egypt with my parents and I saw a more Egyptian artwork in the UK than
All
they
right,
had
I've
than
got
the
to be
Egyptians had in their own museum.
I've got to be really careful if Bree's here, but here's the thing. Most of the people, believe me or not, I'm, whatever. Most of the people in this country do not ever give a second thought to that family. They really don't. It's not a part of our lives. It's just every now and again we get a holiday. That's all it is. Yes, there are some obsessive nut jobs out there, just like you have your red hats, your MAGA people, but they're very few. And once she's gone, this Queenie person, once she's gone, and I've got no problem with her because Kitty is absolutely correct. And one day, Kitty, my jiggly little friend, I will tell you about the Queen because she's more awesome than you will ever be aware of. The things that she's done that
She's a
never gets talked about.
And that's the thing, like a woman in power, like she is a badass, like when she took power, like the idea of a woman ruling with, I mean,
Correct.
It was like you did have some queens that, were very powerful before her, but I think she really stepped into the role.
I'm not even gonna go here because I would bore all your pants off, but I can tell you now, Kitty is correct. She was the original badass. Because she was doing feminism before that word had been invented. And she's done some things that most of you people will never, ever be aware of. She's a fucking seriously cool dude. She really is.
The colonialism bad, the imperialism bad, but her just as a genuine person.
She did not invent any of those things.
No, she didn't. But the institution that she represents did. So she's culpable because she didn't end it. She continued it. But again, she is still a badass. And I respect her for that. And then I just kind of did it at the other stuff.
I will wind this down now because otherwise all the sexy people will get bored. But her husband, who you're all familiar with, who passed away a couple of years ago, he was very forward thinking, and his idea was, this is ridiculous. We've got to cut this down, trim it, get rid of all the nonsense, streamline this business, if you like. Now, when Charles ever gets, I was going to say erected, that's not the right word, but when he ever gets thingamajiged, he's going to do that. So all that nonsense, all the cousins, the brothers, the sisters, all that crap, they're going to be gone. It's just going to be cut down to like 4 or 5 people. And that's progress. And we can't make progress until this queen has passed away. I mean, we can't just kill her to make
I like
progress.
big ears, though. I kind of like big ears. Everyone, people don't like them, but I like big ears.
Oh, Will, no. Their best feature is that weak chin.
I think bigger. When I heard him deliver the Queen's speech, I was like, "Wow, this is the UK's future." I don't have a problem with them, but I don't live there.
I don't walk around worrying about these people. I happened to watch some of the things today on the telly. I watched the flyover and I watched the lighting of the beacons. Apart from that, whatever, I don't give a shit. But
Do you in your country?
even though I'm neither pro or against, the Queen, and Kitty's damned correct on this, the Queen is a badass. She really is.
Really quick, Slothgrl, I missed you. I missed your jokes. We need you in the atheist community. So if I'm randomly laughing inappropriately, it's because I'm reading the chat.
Yep. Yeah, she's really rattling off the jokes here tonight now.
We missed you.
As is her right.
Happy
This stream
birthday.
is in celebration of her birthday.
Yep.
She can say all the silly, corny jokes and dad jokes and puns
I'm
to
not
her
kidding
heart's
you.
content.
I missed this. No, I'm not joking. I miss Slothgrl being in the chat, and I forgot how much I missed her up until right now. Like I really miss this because I'm laughing. What I do is I go back and tell all these jokes to other people, and they're like, "Oh, that's funny. You're so funny."
So I'm just wondering if she loosened up by getting into the alcohol up there.
Oh, that would be joyful, wouldn't it? I wonder how do we contact? If I knock on the roof, can she hear me? Sloth.
No,
Sloth,
sorry,
knock
you
3
just got Mage
times.
upstairs.
No, oh, sorry, Mage.
Hey.
I just punched you in the ass. Sorry, mate.
Yep. That's okay. I just had beans.
Well, I was telling Stool on Twitter before we started that I have an excessive amount of alcohol.
Cool. I'm very proud of you, perps.
And by that I mean just far more than 2 people could drink in one night and expect to wake up again.
And my supplies are running low on rum.
I didn't have the Constitution anymore. My parole officer told me too, if I got arrested for drinking in public one more time. I'm kidding.
Well, it was another one of those things that, when the pandemic was going on and, not quite sure about things and there was nothing else to do but sit home and drink anyway. I went and bought a case of my favorite whiskey, and it's like, that's going to last me a couple of years at this point.
I sat home and I smoked enough weed that I could have my own field, and I watched every VHS I own. Almost.
Hey, Randolph.
Hey.
Oh, Sloth, for fuck's sake. Get your coat. Get out. Get out, Sloth. Get out of here.
Oh.
Oh, God, that was bad.
I've been watching so much Star Trek propaganda, Mage, that when you said, when someone said beans, it made me think of row your boat in one of the best Star Trek movies ever, Star Trek 5.
And Sammy's feeling neglected here. He is so cute and so polite. He is not like most cats. He doesn't yell at me. He just comes and stands up on the arm of my chair and just taps my arm. He's like, if you're not too busy.
Well, in Star Trek V's defense, it does have some of the best quotes
ever. You're God. Shouldn't you know that? That is one of the greatest lines when God asks Kirk, like, who are you? Kirk's like, wait a minute.
I've paraphrased the what does God need with a starship thing? What does God need with a sacrifice?
Still to this day, every time I watch that, I laugh. It's a great line. And fun fact, I'm old enough where I saw that in the movie theaters. Oh, I'm old.
Which episode was that?
The 5th movie. Let me get the chart.
Yeah, I know I saw that one, but I don't remember it very well. I mean, it was an odd numbered one, so obviously it wasn't very good.
I had a geek. My father was a total Star Trek geek, so From as long as I can remember, I'd see them in the movies whenever they'd come out. And in Star Trek Contact, my dad cheered so loud that at the end of the movie, everybody clapped. And you know what scene I'm talking about when they miss? And I hope if you haven't seen Star Trek Contact, who are you? And why are you watching this right now? You should be watching Star Trek Contact. But when Data missed in good old North Hollywood, California, people cheered. There's some good Trekkies in California.
I don't remember what was that about again.
The Borg go to the past and take over Earth.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the girl's plot line, but the Data thing you're talking about.
Oh, the Data gets assimilated. I'm giving the movie away. Data gets assimilated, and the Borg Queen contracts Data to destroy the first ship because they went back in time to stop the first launch of the warp ship.
Yeah, Corcoran.
Yeah, and so at the end of the movie, do you think Data sold out and like he pushes the button and he misses? The theater erupted. I was a kid. I was embarrassed. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I with this black man cheering? But everybody like stood up and was like, it was crazy. People love Star Trek.
Interesting they decided to have Data get assimilated in the movie because it was back when Picard was first assimilated in TNG. There was some ideas bouncing around of actually merging Data and Picard together.
Just for the benefit, in case there are any young people watching this, we're talking about documentaries now. These are not fictional things.
Okay, merging Picard and Data together, so Picada.
Yeah, they're going to. I think they refer to it as Borgifying, since they didn't have assimilation yet, as a term.
Still better than the nightmare that was Tuvix. Hi, Jeff.
Oh yeah. So I joined in, and you started talking Star Trek again.
I'm sorry, it's my go-to, but you got me watching the soccer game yesterday.
Fair enough.
Do you know how many people were screaming that it was fixed? I can't read comments anymore because people are so evil.
Fixed. Wasn't fixed. Ukraine played better.
Yeah, they did. They did.
And it's Scotland who have a tendency of fucking up. So, you know.
It went according to plan.
Yeah.
You also have to consider the level of motivation. You know, the Ukraine team has to stay in the playing because otherwise they have to go home. And that's not a good place right now.
Where were they? I saw on good old Sky News. Where were they? They were practicing like in Belarus or something.
Well, it wouldn't be Belarus because Belarus are sort of in bed with Russia, aren't they? So.
Oh yeah, I'm getting it. I watched.
They played that game at Hampden Park in Scotland, though, didn't they, sir?
And you know what? They kept it classy. I saw a bunch of clips of people that weren't not mean to people wearing yellow jerseys.
Yeah.
But that's not to say what they said when the cameras were off.
Yeah. Actually, the Scots are usually pretty all right. It's the English who are assholes.
You know what, though? In America, you cannot go to Dodger Stadium wearing the wrong colors. Go watch a Raiders game. Go to Las Vegas and wear the wrong colors. You will get beat up in the parking lot. Like, so America, we're not that civilized at all. At least where I'm from.
That certainly never, ever, ever, ever happens in Green Bay. It just doesn't. It's just not the way people behave.
When I was a kid, my mother would take me to Rams games and my father would take me to Raiders games. But I really think my dad had this morbid fascination with watching people just beat the crap out of each other in the crowd. Raiders games have always been violent. Rams games, you can read a novel. You can sit down and eat nachos. You know.
The Raiders were notoriously vicious, weren't they, in the 70s under Madden and that? So, you know.
Well, also while they were in California, they put the stadiums on both on, which is usually in every major city. It's in the poor
Can I
side of
tell you,
town.
I want Purple. Can I say, I want to note for the record here that I was not the one who brought the sports up. Okay, I just wanted you to know as well. So I do want that noted for the record.
So what happens if I wear a hockey jersey to a Raiders game?
They wouldn't say anything to you. Like see, but again, if you were not wearing a Las Vegas Golden Knights, somebody might say something to you. Like I got called the F slur for wearing a Dodger jersey in Vegas one time. Just some rando drove by and said all Dodger fans are the F word with you know.
Yeah, the one thing that annoys me about living in Minnesota is that every time I wear a purple shirt, people assume I'm a Vikings fan. I
can see
just
that.
like the color. I don't care about the team.
To be fair, you have the most fabulous colors though. Purple, white, and gold. My high school was the Vikings, and we modeled ourselves after the Minnesota Vikings. So I have a soft spot for that jersey.
I'd never have guessed that you'd like the color purple.
Oh, jeez, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
Oof. Oh.
Oh God.
That is now I have Danny Glover. Now I just want to go slap Danny Glover and go cry.
Yeah. Actually, that
was a sad fucking movie. Good.
That was actually the smallest part of it, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping her letter.
Okay, that's my bad joke. There's my bad joke allowance used up for one stream.
Seeley just wanted to know what was going on in Africa. That's all, Jeff. Why'd you have to bring up color purple?
I really like Danny Glover.
Oh, he was a monster in that movie, though. In that movie, like
I wasn't on about that movie, by the way.
They cleaned it up, and in the book, they cleaned it up from the book. The book will make you cry. Like I borrowed the book, and I was like, why did I do this to myself? Why?
Yep. Yeah. How science has the purple and the gold going to.
No, in where I live, it's not rare to see a man wearing a Vikings jersey because our local high school, or a parent wearing, or like some Trumper wearing a Trump hat with a bright purple T-shirt on.
Oh, this is horrible. Why do dogs float in water?
Oh no!
Because they're good boys.
No. From Slothgrl.
I missed you.
I like that.
I missed you.
Periodically I threaten Slothgrl with her personal demise, with some of the puns she puts out there. Quite painful.
Sometimes,
Man,
yes.
My ex-wife must be having drama. She hasn't texted me back. I'm so nosy because my life is boring. I love it when people have exciting lives. They're like, oh, this and this happened. I'm like, oh, tell me more. I'm bored.
I would rather have boring life. You know, I'm just really not that interested in the general excitement.
I'm so old that in my neighborhood, I paid for the service of the Ring, like the Ring doorbell. I don't think I should have. Do you know the Ring? You sign up and you volunteer. So if they catch something crazy, they're going to put it out there. They catch crimes before the police. So they'll say like, oh, so-and-so's house is getting robbed. And then I'll hear sirens. So the Ring's turned me into like that old man that every time I hear a bang on my phone, I go and look. That's how I know there's a gang of blonde hair, blue-eyed kids on meth stealing in my town.
Well, you know, I could deal with a quiet retirement because I lived most of my life in crisis management mode.
It's quiet. I go in my backyard and I fall asleep reading books. It's my neighborhood's really quiet.
How does a penguin build his house? I glues it together.
Write that one down.
People think a pirate's favorite letters are, but their true love is the sea.
God.
You be right, matey. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to say this really quick. I'm going to slam dunk for every man who has defeated his ex-wife in court. Big ups to Johnny Depp. I'll just leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there. Slam dunk
I
to
would,
every
I
Now,
would,
weirdo
I
who's
would,
passed out on
Will.
drugs. I love you.
I would, because I just had to sort of get away from like Twitter, and social media for a while yesterday. Because let's
yeah,
just put it this way: there's a lot of hot takes and people on both sides of that.
yeah, I did not follow it at all. I don't care about the celebrity drama, and
I just
I'd
want
rather
to
not
see-
get into it here.
For a defamation suit to be successful and all, I just want to see exactly how has his career been ruined. Okay, the guy's a multi-hundred millionaire, and he's going to continue to be for the rest of his life.
And he's about to make more because, like, just how Chris Rock's tickets have skyrocketed all of a sudden because everybody wants to hear what Chris Rock has to say now. His dime's going to go up. His price is going to go up way more. And the sad thing is, Amber Heard will probably never work on a decent movie ever again.
I think I'm going to say, I think if anyone's career's been ruined, it's probably hers now.
Never. And I know, like, at least the LA Hollywood type, it's if you get a stigma, people will excommunicate you. If you get a stink on you, whether you're right or wrong.
I actually follow the trial kind of closely, and I'm not upset with the verdict. Like, hearing the recordings, when it comes down to it, I think Amber Heard was not being honest. She showed herself, she lied on the stand, like, demonstrably, saying, no, I did donate, the $7 million to charity from this, but she didn't. And then tried to weasel out of it. Oh, well, I use donate and pledge interchangeably. It's like, no, bitch, words have meaning. You just perjured yourself. And I heard the recordings of her and things that she said, the mocking tone she took with him, go ahead, tell everybody, Johnny, that you, Johnny Depp, were abused. See if the judge will believe you.
She got what
And
she deserves.
just the way she would cut him down and criticize him. She admitted to hitting him. And I don't know, like, I believe she was the abuser in that. Do I think that he is the perfect victim? No. Do I think that, he engaged in emotional abuse, with like his anger outbursts? Yes. However, it seems like she initiated the abuse, and she never claimed he did emotional abuse. She claimed physical and sexual, and she didn't meet that burden of proof.
Well, okay, honestly, a big part of why I didn't follow it was, it could be kind of triggering for me because, I've been through abusive relationships myself.
I think the only thing I saw on it, what sort of somewhat made me chuckle, is when people started putting the older. You'll always remember this as the day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh,
I did find that funny.
Yeah.
But on a lighter note, I bought this from my local 99-cent store, and it's really dumb. I'm going to redesign it, but I'm going to wear this mosquito net. Hold on, I have a giant 8-head.
Very nice.
Yeah, well, you were
actually
wearing that
think
in
this
your
is-
last video.
I know, because I thought it was something stupid because I bought a caftan and I started making caftans. So now I have this weird thing where I cruise the 99-cent store looking for weird stuff to show off in videos. And this is a really cheaply made hat, but it's actually a really good idea.
You think
Yeah,
that'd be
actually,
standard
when-
issue in Florida?
Oh,
When I was doing the
amazing.
landscaping, I bought one of those because, there were certain times of the year that, the mosquitoes I was used to, they didn't faze me much. But when the biting flies were out, because there were like horse flies who would take a good chunk out of you.
We have these things, we call them no-see-ums. They're blood suckers, and they get bigger with the more blood. And when you smash them against the wall, they literally erupt in blood. So yeah, it's gross here too. But this is awesome. I said in my video, I was like, you know what? It looks stupid, but it's amazing because most people where I'm from don't do stuff like this. Like, I know people who won't walk in the Goodwill because they're pretentious. I don't care what people think about me. I'm more function over fashion.
Now you're ready to start your own beehive.
This is awesome.
I like the color.
It was either this or something that was not too LGBTQIA plus friendly, because it's the dollar store, so they sell all the excess stuff that people didn't buy.
Yep.
So it was this or something in more the MAGA region, which it still shocks me why people like MAGAs, how come they don't realize that everything that they buy is made in China? They're so anti-China, but everything that they buy is made in China.
Because that shows you how little attention
on that. Jimmy Kittle just did a bit on that just now.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
It shows you how little attention they paid anything. You know, they see the headline, they don't read the article.
What's that, Jenny?
Yes, thank you. Jimmy Kimmel showed all these, like a half a dozen or more Trump products that said made in China, made in El Salvador, made in wherever, just a whole bunch of different places. And apparently they were getting on him because he has merch too. And he whipped out the shirt that they sell and it says made in USA. So let's fuck you, Trump. I mean, I'm not a big Jimmy Kimmel fan, but
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
The thing is MAGA is absolutely a cult around Trump now. There's no other way. There's no way. Because it's just because there's just they will not hear anything that being said about him, or even things that just demonstrably true,
So my mom owns a beach house, and she went again this year. Like, she goes every year, and my entire family goes down, and everybody we all hang out with my mom. There is a woman next door. Every year, the same thing happens. She walks out with her MAGA hat, and this is just recently, and she'll say, "Hey, I'm for Donald Trump and all this," and my mom smiles. Her family, the rest of her family, people who live in the house too, they come back and they're like, "Be nice to her. She's crazy. She's crazy." So my mom has a crazy MAGA neighbor at her beach house. And even her family, who probably would vote for him, call her crazy because that entire area is all Republicans because it's really, really, really rich people,
I saw a DeSantis magnet on my dad's fridge today.
Ugh.
I kind of threw up a little in my mouth.
That's one thing I like about my mom is she calls herself a Kennedy Democrat, and she's never changed. My dad flopped back and forth. He voted Republican because he started making money, and he said flat out, like, these guys make me rich, these guys tax me. You know?
Well, and that's the one thing that I never had a disagreement with my family on. Well, my parents anyway, was the politics. That's I was brought up in the Democrat. My dad was precinct captain and everything. Because my dad realized that without the union, he would have never been able to support our family.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I feel like that about my dad too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, see, that's because this is the whole thing that like conservatives are sort of supposed to say that they tax less, and then they're also the people that will get rid of deficits and national debt or whatever. Then you look at the UK. We've had in the last sort of 12 years, we've had one chancellor who said we were going to reduce the national debt, and ended up borrowing more than any other chancellor in history, a guy called George Osborne. And our current chancellor is the one who's always on about how we lower taxes, yet he's taxed higher than any other chancellor in history. Fucking, they can't even do their own shit right in Britain, you know?
The Republicans do the same thing here. I live in a Republican town, and I swear, I call it Disneyland prices. We pay extra for everything here. I go over the hill, and everything's cheaper. I don't get it.
There are some things that happen like that around here. Well, yeah, mostly gas and booze is where you notice it. But there are, because with Minnesota, we've got, the state tax, and some places have a county tax, some places have a city tax. So there literally are some places that in one city, the price of gas will be 20 cents a gallon more than it will be in the next county.
I don't get that, and that happens here. I don't. There's a gas station that's always 10 cents cheaper no matter what, but they always have a half-mile line, and Costco too. It's not even worth it where I live to be a Costco member. Do you guys have Costco's where you live in America? American.
We've got a few.
Yep,
Costco
they've got
I've got one near me.
Yeah.
Do they have
65
gas?
miles away, but we have one.
Yes, they do have gas.
Yep. I think they all have their own gas station, or pretty much all of them.
Ours are a little bit more recent, and Californians lost their mind. When I say recent, I mean in the past 25 years.
Yeah, well, the Costco and the Sam's Club each have their own gas station here.
The Costco in the mall near me is about the only thing left in the mall.
I'm going to make you Windex that, bro. You're getting your snot all over my computer.
Okay, Stool, you gotta tell us what's on your sandwich. And you can't even spell it right. It's sandwiches. That must be another one of those weird British spellings.
Sammy's.
No, I think that's just still.
Spell ketchup.
I know. Now you're going to start fights.
Okay,
Now-
it
now
has
start
lettuce
fights.
on it. Stool, that's not a sandwich. You put a salad between bread.
Oh, they do that in California. They wrap everything in lettuce. Like, get over it. You're already eating a giant beef patty. Like, you're going to have a heart attack one day. Eating lettuce isn't going to make you feel.
And I wish I could blame it on the whiskey, but I can never spell regardless.
The way to start a fight is to sort of start a debate about whether a hot dog is a sandwich or not.
Yep.
That's the way to start a fight.
Is a taco a sandwich?
No, it's a taco.
Technically, yes.
It's unique unto itself.
And coffee is a soup. Technically.
Is a hot dog a taco?
Kitty, no. Racist.
Well, is a hot dog a taco?
Don't
Okay,
attack my coffee soup.
The more relevant question is, does anyone actually give a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I do, because according to Kitty Science, I've just made a huge flask of soup. So
Soup
that means
right
I'm
here.
healthy.
I have my soup right here. I live off my soup like I'm Janeway.
So, speaking of calling things racist, I saw something the other day. There was this girl on TikTok, and she said that eating meat is racist and anti-Semitic because when Black people were slaves, they weren't allowed meat. So you should allow all the meat to go to the Black people, and any person who's not Black that eats meat is racist.
Okay, so
and also anti-Semitic for the same reason. Only in the concentration camps they didn't have meat, so eating meat is anti-Semitic and racist. And I'm like, and I was talking about this the other day. If you start just flinging out racist, it really loses its meaning, if you call everything racist.
If you go back far enough, you can blame an amoeba for splitting in two. My dad used to always say this about the Afrocentric community, that if you get bitter enough, you're going to end up in the dark being naked because you hate cotton.
Yeah, I actually think that's part of the right-wing strategy. Is that, if they can get racists to lose the edge, then they don't have to worry about it.
But it has lost the edge. Are you kidding me? It's just moved over to different communities. That's part of the problem, is that it starts with trans people, then it goes to gay people, and then it's a slippery slope. And the sad thing is, we don't even have to look back. We just look back at history. It's already happened. Like, we are literally repeating what happened 100 years ago.
What you said about it, you go back far enough, Will. I don't know if you've still seen this, but there's a British comedian called Stuart Lee who did a big routine on this when he was talking about UKIPers. And he said, I mean, how far do they want to go back with like this, like anti-immigration stuff? It's like keep going back. You're in the Celts are going, bloody Romans coming over here, taking our job, building walls, and then and you keep going back and back and back. Because this, the whole history has been, one of various mass migrations, and that is human history.
Hey, but I keep saying that we're not racist because my ancestors were Vikings. We took our slaves from the British Isles.
Was that person saying that eating meat was racist a right-winger?
No, I think they're worse than the right-winger because I think they fall into the group of like over-woke liberals where it's like you'll see somebody who they're there's another person that they're a folklorist, that they actually have a master's in folklore. So they talk about like different like myths and folklore and stuff like that. And there'll be like native people that will say, they'll say, hey, can you talk about this thing? Can you talk about that thing? And she'll open up and say, look, fine, I am not as qualified to speak on this as somebody from that culture. However, like here is what the folklore is. And, if you know of any other creators that are native, check them out if they're, discussing this kind of thing. But the people in her comments that complain about her covering things like, Wendigos and skinwalkers and such are white people saying that's not your culture, you can't talk about it. And yet the natives are like, yeah, please do a video on this because we want to see it, discussed and you have a platform. And like she does go out of her way to try to find other folklorists that are of those communities and then boost them with her signal because she just got big. But and it seems to be like you'll have people that they have a platform and they will speak about an issue that's an issue. But because they're not from that community, people tell them to shut up. It happens to men who speak out against, misogyny and, the attack on women's rights going on right now with the Supreme Court draft decision. And men are told to sit down and shut up. You're not a woman. You can't talk about this. I'm sorry. No, please use your male privilege to speak about this.
The people who whine about being offended are rarely members of the community that's supposed to be offended.
And that was kind of my main point. She seemed to me to fall in that category rather than being like a right winger that, is just crazy. I mean, I guess they're both kind of crazier in their own way. Yeah. But at least like the right wingers aren't so virtue signaling. Like they just put their bleh out on display and it is what it is. Whereas that other group, they're very virtue signaling. And I find the people that are like the loudest and most obnoxious about look at me, look at what I'm doing for this, look at how I'm, like doing this for this community, like the virtue signal the most seem to be the ones that have the most like skeletons in their closets. Like it's fine to say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But when you're always talking about it, when you're really, really loud and obnoxious about it, I don't know. It's kind of like the people who are really, really loud and obnoxious about their homophobia that make me think that they might be a little, not straight. Like the GOP Republicans that are constantly getting caught in men's restrooms trying to solicit male prostitutes kind of thing. So I don't know. Like, and I think that one girl, she was young, like maybe like 18, if that. So I think it's just a little bit of ignorance and a little bit of like virtue signaling.
No,
a
meat is
little
not
bit too
racist.
far.
No, there's
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Like,
but I'm
It's,
gonna say honestly, at my age, I think everyone under 40 doesn't get it anyways. So
it's a species, you could say, possibly, but you know.
no, it's a generational thing. When I was younger, my pops would look at me and he'd be like, you know what? I can't sit in the car and listen to this rap crap. My pops was one of the most supportive, loving human beings. He's like, I can't do this. I can't. Every generation looks at the other and they're like, no, that's lame. So,
Yeah.
you
the
know,
Zoomers will come after me for my side part, but they can eat me.
What you were mentioning about like the Supreme Court and that a minute ago, Kitty. This is what I'm glad I didn't actually engage in any of these conversations yesterday. But when we had some, we say certain feminist hot takes about how the Depp verdict has set women back decades. I'm like, that's being hyperbolic. If you really want to focus on something that is going to set women back decades, you may want to look at what the Supreme Court is doing with Roe v. Wade. I decided not to get into arguments with that because I just was not. But you know, I'm like, let's put things in perspective here. You know,
or the entire infrastructure in general. If somebody reports a crime, where I'm from, people do not call the police. The police are useful. So I couldn't imagine having to report something awful that happened and the cops not giving a shit, you know? So I think, you know, we always say these high and mighty things, but like, we have to fix it's true. We do. We get on our, we know we're dragging that dead big white horse, but you kind of have to fix the system because in America, people have lost their damn mind. You know, and we do not take care of mental health in America.
I'm just of the opinion that, you know, we should all be speaking out for the benefit of each other. I mean, you know, like I think men, you know, especially, you know, cishet white men, because they're the ones that kind of hold the majority of power, they should be speaking out in support of women. And, you know, then white women should be speaking out in support of women of color. And it's kind of a trickle down effect that we should all be using our inherent privilege that we have based on, you know, our things.
I was fretting that Slothgrl was going to tell this joke.
That would if you smashed my fender, I don't know how I would react.
Sloth, go and sit on the naughty step.
I'm actually looking at mine right there. I have a fender. I would get I'd get pretty heated.
I approve. My son came up and was telling me like some cute like little dad jokes the other day. I'm trying to remember what they were. I think one of them was, what kind of vegetable likes to deal with animals? And the answer is a zucchini. And there was another one, but I can't remember.
That one's pretty good.
Oh man, I can't remember. Like, because he got some of these jokes from one of the little shows that he watches, and you know he likes repeating things.
Yep.
And my memory is terrible.
Well, I'm sorry to say, the calendar's days are numbered.
There was something else. I always put notes in my phone for moments like this. Yeah, there was that.
Yeah, I always have a bunch of these, and it's like, you know, I can never find the jokes when I need them.
I'm like that. I normally have to wealth of bad jokes, but when I think of them, I'm like, damn, I know.
Oh, this is a bad.
To be fair, it is 10 to 6 in the morning as well. I'm not firing on all cylinders anyway.
Okay, Perp, I'm gonna send you a picture, and I tell everybody, oh come on, that this So where I'm from, we call everything gay, and this is my gay rice. You're welcome. I bought it just because it said that. But I you know, I have the humor of a child.
Oh, here's another one. What do you call a rude carrot? A fresh vegetable. That was another one that he had said.
Hmm.
Oh man, that's gonna drive me crazy.
Burp, did you get the picture?
Yeah. Hold on. I was having to look at something else there. Where's Twitter?
This is how soccer dad I am. I'm standing in the grocery store laughing at a bag of rice.
Beep, 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 beep.
Extra fancy, huh?
Oh, sorry, I just died again. But yeah, I died. I put it on Facebook. Me and all the oldies laughed. It's my gay
Extra
rice.
fancy.
I'm trying to remember what stream I was on actually. It must have been a couple of months. I can't remember whose channel I was on, but you were having a look at all these like really funny brand names and company names and stuff. It was, they're just,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, who was passing that around? Who was passing that around in our Twitter chat about the shrimp flavored soda?
Oh my word! Yeah,
I would throw up.
I've seen ranch flavored soda.
There's all sorts. I mean, there's bacon flavor soda, wheat corn flavor. It's just, I don't know. It's this. I know there's one company that makes all these weird sodas. Isn't
Rocket Fizz.
Yeah.
Oh, Skits and I reek of marijuana. So Isaiah will always be like, "Oh, people look at you," and I'm like, "Oh, it's because I reek." People aren't used to the smell.
I would caution Slothgrl about making jokes about weights and measures and stuff, because that's apparently an issue in Britain again, because we're.
I didn't want to bring it up.
Idiot.
I didn't want to bring it up, but you want to put a blue stamp on that? You want to put a stamp on that?
That might be a bit triggering for myself and Still.
All for a crown stamp.
Yeah, there used to be a Rocket Fizz near me. I go there about once or twice a month to get some really unusual sodas. Some of my favorites were the chocolate soda, the cucumber soda was pretty decent. I also found Jesus there, but he was too expensive.
Even with going metric, though, the one measurement that the Brits were never going to get rid of is the pint.
Yeah.
Except the pint isn't the same as the American pint either.
This is the joke of it. This is the joke of it. They've had like 25 years of telling us that because of the European Union we're not allowed to use imperial measurements anymore, which is absolute bollocks. But some people who seem to believe this shit, and I just don't understand why we want to go back to a system that's clearly
it's not a thing. It's not a thing, and it winds me up because everybody's getting all wound up about this as if this is a thing that's going to happen. It is not a thing that's going to happen. It's complete bullshit.
They want to show something positive.
Pandering. It's just the basically it's the Tories trying to pander to like the sort of we're taking our country back crowd,
The Brexit crowd. It's the flag shaggers who are utterly and completely dumbfounded that everything that the opposition said is coming true.
It's the cult of Trump, British division.
It really is.
It's complete arsey bollocks, but the lies. if it wasn't such a serious matter, their lies would be hilarious because they're so ludicrous.
Oh, by the way,
And-
Stool, Kay Burley is 62 years old, and you will respect my life choices. I have a crush on her.
I think you're a dirty old man.
I love her. I love her. I watch her every night at 11 o'clock now.
But yes, you're dirty. You pervert.
What time is it?
The thing is, though, with the Imperial thing, the lie that they're now telling, they've added to the lie, and they're now saying they will decriminalize using imperial measurements, like as if it's been against the law.
Do you go to
What?
jail?
Yeah. What crap is this?
To be honest, right now, I would actually be, if I owned a pub, I would actually start just to be an asshole saying like, we don't serve pints, we serve 568 milliliters. I would just do that now.
I was wondering about that. If instead of a pint, someplace went to just half liters.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me crazy that people think, and this is an America-based wine, that if you're going to switch to, it's impossible to switch to metric because everybody knows everything in imperial so well, and it's like, why do you think you have to convert? Okay, here's a liter. Here's how big it is.
Exactly.
Okay, that's it. Who cares what it is relative to a quart? It's a liter. It's a half liter.
But we have liters in America. I was addicted to Lipton's brisk iced tea. It came in a liter. So at least when I was a kid, I drank that stuff for like 15 years.
Well, speaking of tea, I've been drinking tea out of a coffee cup that I made in the microwave.
Yeah.
So Americans are already familiar with the sizes. We don't read. We just pay our dollar and leave the store.
Right. I'm just to say, making tea in a microwave is an abomination.
Yes, that's the reason why I mentioned it.
We drink cold.
It's but then look, there's obviously parts of the world that the British Empire didn't manage to civilize, did we? So there you go.
Is weird. It is weird that one thing in the U.S. that did get adopted was for soft drinks. That we have liters and 2-liter bottles of soft drinks.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do. But this is the joke. We have like liters and that for soft drinks or whatever. But milk is still sold in pints.
Just how did that happen that we wound up with a 2-liter of soft drink instead of a half gallon?
Yeah.
Because they didn't exist for a long time, and they were introduced during the time where we were trying to go metric back in Jimmy Carter's days.
Well, if you think tea out of it from the microwave is an abomination, and I had an aunt who would drink wine out of a solo cup.
Yeah, well, they think not having a queen is an abomination. Who cares what they think?
Mage, where I'm from, drinking wine out of a solo cup is called a party and having the time of your life.
You can have the monarchy, honestly, Jetty. You're welcome to the monarchy.
Hey, solo cups are the best thing that happened to parties. When people are going to be drinking that much booze, you don't want anything made of glass around.
It's so hardcore where I live that our recycling places, they take solo cups. So you could come with a stack of dirty solo cups and they'll recycle them.
Yeah, I just wonder if anything really gets recycled or not.
They're number 5 plastic, aren't they?
Oh dear,
I've
just got my eyes looking out my back door and watching a squirrel just take everything out of the bird food dispenser right now.
They count. They're just fancy rats.
Most of the plastic that's collected for recycling in the U.S. is actually sold to China, where it's shipped over and burned.
Very true. And our electronics, most of our electronics, our old broken electronics, get sent to Africa, where people in certain coastal cities don't live to be 35.
Okay, I see it's 12 midnight in Minnesota, correct? So
so it
makes it officially Slothgrl's birthday?
Happy
Yep,
birthday.
I was watching for
Alright.
the countdown, and it has just hit midnight. Yes.
All right. So happy birthday to
To
you.
To
Happy
you.
birthday
to
to you.
Happy
To
birthday.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
dear
dear
Birthday,
Sloth Girl.
to
Happy
you.
birthday to
Birthday
you.
happy
And
to
many
you.
more on Channel 4.
And don't worry
It's
about
to
demonetization.
on
That song is
Channel
in the
2.
public domain.
How old are you? How old are you?
No,
How
didn't they?
old
Yeah,
are
they just lost.
you?
They
How
just
old
lost.
are you?
They just lost their right to sue everybody over that song, didn't they?
A couple of
Well,
years.
it was a while ago.
Yeah, like
Actually,
Yeah,
I
who was it?
thought they had actually won, but they eventually just gave up because of public pressure.
No,
Who owns it?
I remember
Sorry?
hearing a quote from a judge that handled it, saying that this is absolutely ludicrous, that this shouldn't be in the public domain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and
they lost.
for the record, Slothgrl is 29. No awkward questions about how her daughter is older than she is.
How many times have you been 29 now?
Hey now,
I
that
was
is not a
about-
question that you ask
I
because
was
you don't
about-
know. They could be a vampire and they might be trying to hide from, those that want to enforce the masquerade.
I can ask anything she wants. She doesn't have to answer.
My sister was 29 twice, and at my sister's second 29th birthday, I need to find that tape. My dad had a meltdown. He was drinking, and you could see the moment where he's like, "Wait a minute!" Like he was genuinely offended that she got one over on him. But she celebrated her 29th birthday twice.
Who knows what
Oh, yeah.
S&H green stamps are?
Yep, I remember them.
Okay, I can taste them. I remember the disgusting taste of stamps. I have PTSD from that.
No,
There,
I'm
there were
talking
also,
S&H trading stamps.
yep, there was also a competing one that were yellow. They were like Gold Book or something like that.
Never.
Why would you lick the stamps if you can just put a little bit of water on them from your finger or use a sponge?
Well, that's just not how it's done. I'm sorry.
I
Well,
was tactile.
yeah, well,
child.
we had to wait for sponges to be invented.
I've never even
I'm
used a
so
sponge.
glad we got-
I just damp my finger and just do that. It works.
Hell,
I'm
we
so
were still
glad we
waiting for
got rid of those stamps. We have to lick the back of them now. I'm so
Oh,
glad they're
man.
gone.
My grandfather had in his office, he had a typewriter. Like the average kid wouldn't even know what to do if they walked in that room.
Yeah, well, did you know that the post office had come out with stamps to commemorate prostitution? You know that they were only 50 cents each, but it cost you $1 extra if you wanted to lick them.
Is that where the expression tramp stamp came in, or what?
What about lot lizard? Where'd lot lizard come from?
That's yeah, it's actually a bit. It's a bit worrying. If now you put it that way, it's a bit worrying. And when I think back over all the times I've licked the Queen's behind.
Yeah.
Quite a few times, I would imagine. Quite a few.
I thought I heard that lot lizard came from prostitutes who would frequent truck stops.
Yeah, that's what I thought was from too.
No,
According
I
to-
know. I know.
Well,
I'm
It's,
just saying that.
it's like the commemorative stamp thing, like a big thing with the U.S. post office thing. 'Cause it's obviously it's a fairly big thing here. Well,
Yeah,
not as
they
big as
do
it used
lots
to
of
be,
them,
but
always.
there's a lot of I mean, but
Actually, I have I collect stamps. Shocker, shocker. I have a bunch of I have a whole book of Malcolm X, Shirley Chisholm. Name somebody who's a famous American that was put on the
Julian
stamp. I
Bond.
probably have a book.
Well, according to Wiki here, lot lizard, the term was popularized by the 2000 novel Sarah, a fictional account of the life of a truck stop prostitute.
Exactly. I was about to say it's a trucker term.
Yep.
See, I told you I know prostitutes.
No, when I was a kid, my parents were really cool, so they'd let me go to shows and stuff. But they were overbearing, so they would always drive. And I remember asking the question. My dad's like, "Oh, I don't like going to that side of town. There's a lot of lot lizards. And I remember asking him, what does that mean? Which was dangerous when you had a parent that was in the Navy. It's dangerous because he told me.
Stu and Jeff, what is in England? What is the common street vernacular for a prostitute?
There's loads of different ones.
So can I ask a question?
Well,
You're gonna laugh?
Actually,
Talking is free. Go ahead.
Do you say slag? Do you say slag? Please tell me you say slag. Say slag.
Tart's quite a popular one.
Tart. Okay.
Well, when my grandfather was young, he was very poor, and he'd see these pimps on the street, and they'd have nice clothes, they had jewelry, had women on each arm, kind of thing. So when he was asked that's what he wants to be when he grows up, he says, "I want to be a pimp."
Not out here, man. They're evil, angry dudes with perms where I live.
Yeah, one of the things I always found was an odd thing about languages is that in the US you can get thrown in jail for hiring a solicitor. And in the UK, if you want to get out of jail, you call a solicitor.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel bad because I can't remember what we call prostitutes, Jeff. What do we call prostitutes?
Look, if you're going to hire a prostitute, just film it so you can do it legally.
Yep.
What are prostitutes called in England? Oh, come on. That's so 1950s. Yeah. No one calls a prostitute common. That is so common to call a prostitute common.
That's the answer it gave you.
Do better.
But Mage had it that, if you're going to pay somebody for sex, just make sure there's a camera running, because prostitution's illegal, but making pornos isn't.
Now. It used to be both of those.
This is going to really annoy me now because I'm British and I can't remember what the fuck the British is for prostitute.
You don't say slag? Or is that just something that's in a porn search?
No. Slag is not
Slothgrl says prosies.
We say prosies here, though.
Prosies could be it. That might be a little bit 80s.
We say prostitutes.
It's not slag, though, because, Will, I would call you a slag.
Thank you. I'll gladly be a slag.
I am a prostitute, you see.
Or chav. Don't type that into a porn search engine. Oh, my gosh.
But to call somebody a slag, you have to do it with a Cockney accent.
Every time.
What exactly do you mean when you call somebody a slag?
Jeff will understand. Hey, Jeff, did you watch EastEnders?
You can take. No, I didn't. So you can take this one still.
It's what you would call a young lady or a woman who has frequent friends.
No. That's not how it works. You see, I would happily call you a slag, Will.
Well, according to Anglia-Utopia, the Brit term for a prostitute is a tart.
That's
pretty common. That's pretty common.
I think that's the one I said.
That's very common.
I think it's neat then. That means that both in England and America, you eat a tart.
I watch After Henry with Prunella Scales, and her mother calls everything common, even though they're middle class. I love that show. It reminds me of
She's a good actress, though. She is.
Oh gosh, please tell me you're going to watch EastEnders, Jeff.
I hate EastEnders. I never watch it.
I'd never watch it. I've not watched it in like about X number of decades, but I accidentally caught the last 5 minutes of it tonight.
I think Dirty Den was still in it the last time I watched it, so that's how far back I was going.
This was even worse. You know who was in it, don't you?
Isn't Big Ears going to be in...
Fucking Prince Charles and Camilla were in it, for fuck's sake.
Thank you. I knew that. Before I typed it in. I knew that they were in it.
I felt like eating my own dick. It was fucking cringe. It was fucking awful.
Okay, trollop or strumpet?
Strumpet, well, that's one I've not heard in years.
I used to be until it expanded. Like, I'm not in, like, Star Trek kind of took over my life with all these new shows.
Slothgrl watches a lot of BBC, but a lot of it that she watches is like period pieces. So she may have picked up the vocabulary or the dialect from a different decade.
Regardless of its definition, I like the word trollop. It just has a nice feel on your, coming off your tongue, trollop.
Okay, well,
it's just a neat word.
I wanted to get one of the Brits to define slag because it's a personal thing to me.
Yeah, I always think of coal when I think of slag.
Me too. Okay, see that's the problem with slang, because I think of that as well.
Yeah,
but slag is like, I'm trying to be nice. It's like,
slag is the stuff when you're refining a metal that
I was gonna say, isn't it the scum when you're refining metal or melting down metal?
Yeah,
and it's also if Kim Kardashian lived in an apartment, that's slag.
Well,
if he wasn't rich.
And it's a family thing.
It's also
slag is basically slang. It's a bit of an oldie one that means promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
So a young girl who was promiscuous would be a slag. However, the Hockneys, what's a Hockney? The Cockneys also use the word on the EastEnders, Jeff, which you're too posh to watch.
Why are Cockneys called Cockneys?
Because they will call, they'll use that word. So I could say to Will, "Oi, you fucking slag." Now I'm not inferring that Will is a promiscuous lady. You see, English is a beautiful language.
But it all ties together for me because basically slag means slut. And I'm a Triceratops, and in the Transformers, the Triceratops name was Slag.
There you go.
In the Hispanic,
nothing wrong with being a slut.
In the LGBTQIA plus community, there's you will see two grown men walk up to each other and say, "What's up, puto?" "Oh, nothing, puto." But if you said it to a stranger, you would get knocked out.
What is puto?
It's the F. It's gay, but it's the F word in Spanish.
This is always. It always goes back.
But if I was in West Hollywood and I saw my friend Jesus, and I was like, "What's up, Jesus?" He'd be like, "What's up, puto?" I'd be like, "What's up, puto?" We give each other a hug. You said it to a stranger, you're gonna get a black eye.
Generally, see in Britain, like the F word is slang for a cigarette as well. So
see, but where I'm from, man. You get beat up saying that. Like, say it to the wrong person.
Hey, could you put that last comment from Slothgrl back up?
Yeah, Robert X, no excuses. Two of the Brits beat you in here, so.
This is what it always boils back down to, and it does wind me up because I do get annoyed about how Americans are so against the C word.
Sorry, I just saw that one from Slothgrl. That's quite funny.
Yep.
So within this small window here, I can very happily call Jeff a wonderful cunt. I can call Will a funny cunt. But I can't use that word with the other Americans in this window because they'll go, "Oh."
It took me a while to get used to it. It's something I took offense by originally, but yeah, after especially dealing with the Australians, I just realized, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's fighting words.
Bastard's the term of endearment in Australia as well. So
yeah, but to certain Americans, like Isaiah said it in front of my mother and his mother, and I thought my mom was gonna have a heart attack. My mom was, or she was gonna come across and grab him because she's old school, So it depends on who you're talking to, and it's always context. People are way too familiar with each other nowadays. It's always context. People are way too familiar with each other.
I think cunt is a wonderful, wonderful word. And Will just nailed it there because it is about context.
Always.
And no offense, American friends, but context, you sometimes don't get it. So I can use that same word, but it can have two different meanings depending on the context and the situation.
I never use.
I'm a sloth girl on this one. Like, cunt is a regular appearance in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
I never used to use it, but I can't take any moral high ground on it because I've done enough videos that Boris Johnson is a cunt. So it was out
Yeah,
of Christmas.
exactly.
It's not one I ever got in the habit of using, but you know, it's no worse than dozens of other things.
You know, I
That
never
made it-
realized how much in English we speak in slang until I have a friend named Max. He's from Hamburg, Germany. I'm still friends with him. I met him when I was in high school. My neighbors were World War II refugees. They had family from Germany. And when he came to America, at first he kind of didn't understand my friends and I because we only would speak in slang, and we didn't even realize it till we got around somebody who came to our country speaking the King's English and German, because Germans speak English better than most Americans. Their school system is amazing in Germany.
So
so the Dutch as well. They all speak really good English.
I was shocked how
Which is just as well because I wouldn't understand. If you ever see Dutch words,
yep.
you know, they're just unreadable.
Okay, but Slothgrl isn't calling a pussy a cunt redundant.
maybe Jeff knows the answer to this one. Are you up to date with how Cunt and the gang are doing with their push to get their single to number 2?
No, I'm not actually. I mean, they got to like number 4 or 5, didn't they? It was the Boris song at Christmas.
Yeah, but they
looked like they were going to get to number 1 at one time as well.
Yeah,
okay,
but
I should
with
not
this
have,
one, they want to
Googled
get
oil cunt.
They want to get to number 2 with their latest single, which is called "Prince Andrew is a Sweaty Nonce." And I think it was actually at number 4 the other day.
I haven't even heard this song yet, actually. I've got to listen to this after this.
If you're looking for a cunt and you're seeing number 2, she's facing the wrong way.
Just to be clear, I've not heard it either, but they said, let's face it, we're not going to get number 1, so let's aim for number 2.
Yeah. Oh my word.
Prince Andrew is a sweaty nonce. Number 2 in the hit parade.
I just asked the Americans, do you know what the word nonce is slang for?
No.
I'm not going to.
So it would just say someone who tends to be attracted to very, very young people. So we just say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a bad word.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the Catholic Church is responsible for most of the misogyny. You know, what's the highest rank a woman can get in the church? None.
I thought it was the Pope's concubine.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the Pope is getting laid behind the scenes.
Well, historically, that's why the church ran all the orphanages, because they needed some way to get rid of all the babies that the priests were producing without anybody knowing who the fathers were.
That and, you know, a steady stream of children you can groom.
I mean, like, even the Church of England actually does allow women to be priests now. Although there is still, should we say, there's still a ceiling on just how far up the ranks that a woman can go in the Church of England. So we're a long way off of having a woman as the Archbishop of Canterbury, for example. You know, so
yeah. Well, in the U.S., some denominations will allow it, and some of them still won't.
The Catholics have women priests. Quite a few women priests now. There's actually one at my mom's church.
Well, actually, in the 70s, when I joined a Methodist church, it's because they seemed more progressive, and one of the main things was that they had a woman as a junior minister.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Will, you've watched a lot of old British sitcoms. Did you ever come across The Vicar of Dibley?
Yeah.
With Dawn French. Yeah. But that was that was like quite a topical show when that started, because like women priests were a very new thing, and it was still seen as very controversial for some bizarre reason. But by the time that show ended, though, it was like, yeah, pretty much accepted, So
I have a question. Was Penelope Keith considered like edgy with the show No Job for a Lady? Was that considered like, oh my gosh, a woman MP?
You know
Was
what?
that
I
like
thought about you. I was
Are you
watching
sure it's a Catholic
the.
church?
I was watching
my
the,
at least
the-
my mom does.
I was
But
watching the Platitubes earlier, Will,
what's
on
that?
BBC One. I was watching the Platitubes on BBC One,
oh,
they had
dear.
Penelope Keith on.
I love her. She's a
She-
nice. She protect her.
she's lit-
She's your
She's literally 200 years old now, and they had her on because why? I've no idea. Posh voice, don't know.
she's more British than the flag. I love her.
Yeah, I'm actually of the opinion actually that when the Queen finally does pass away, if Penelope Keith is still alive, we should just make her the new Queen and fuck Charles.
She is so I love her, and she also in her older age, she had a show where she would go around to villages in the UK. Absolutely love that show. She's just a warm,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I think
I
she's
love her.
absolutely. You probably watched The Good Life, didn't you? I mean, she was
of course.
so good in that. She was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that's where I first got to know her.
Yeah.
But
But,
I don't
I'm
know if
thinking now.
anything has happened since January of 2021, but in January of 2021, Pope Francis changed the law of the church to formally allow women to give readings from the Bible during Mass, act as altar servers, and distribute communion, but they remain barred from becoming deacons or priests.
Huh.
So it's possible something happened this year, but I mean, if someone finds it, but I'm not finding anything on that, because like I grew up Catholic, so like
Yeah.
hearing women being allowed to be priests was a big
Well,
deal.
that would have been world news.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again,
Well,
it's
Considering it took them over 2,000 years to let them basically be altar boys, yeah.
yeah, basically. They can now take the role of altar boys, and do the things that they could do, but still they're not. Again, as of January 11th, 2021. I mean, that's only a year ago, and I'm sure there would have been news, like big news.
All right, you get a gold star and a Scooby snack for that one.
Well, the priests were asking for diversity in their exploits.
Now, like any woman that can read the Bible is too old for them.
So back to Penelope Keith.
I honestly still cannot understand how any woman could read the Bible and remain Christian.
I don't even get me started on that, because I don't know how any person of color could read the Bible. I don't know how anybody could read the Bible and follow it.
There was a British politician, a woman politician, and I hate to even mention her name, and I know still will cringe the second I mention her name. A woman called Anne Widdecombe, who left. She actually left the Church of England and converted to Catholicism because of that they allowed women to be priests in the Catholic in the C of E. That's why she left, and which is like really bizarre coming from a woman who's an MP. But she's if you actually, I'll tell you what, if you're not familiar with it, there was a debate that she was her and some like Catholic bishop against Stephen Fry and Christopher Hitchens about the Catholic Church going back years ago, and Hitchens and Fry absolutely just I mean ripped her to shreds.
That was an amazing debate.
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I think someone said it's Anne Widdecombe got hitch slapped and deep fried. I think it was the best way I heard that.
Oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name now.
Oh,
There was this lady that used to always go on The Big Question. She was she was a blonde woman, and she was such a shield for the Catholic Church. Her and good old Tim Stanley. But I like Tim Stanley. Tim
So
Stanley has class and he's elegant, but what's her name?
I found another article. Apparently, there are some women who, have been ordained, but it is not sanctioned by the Vatican. And basically, any women who consider themselves ordained priests are automatically excommunicated from the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah, I remember a case like
There's one way out.
And in 2017, there was a march on the Vatican, and they were all excommunicated. They were basically, doing a whole hashtag ordain women, and there were 70 self-ordained female priests, pictures of them. And they were all excommunicated.
Yeah, see, I've often toyed with the idea of converting to Catholicism with the sole purpose of trying to get myself excommunicated.
Are you want to get excommunicated? I could help you in 5 minutes. Meet me in Rome. I can get you excommunicated in 5 minutes.
Oh, I almost.
Does this involve stampeding cattle?
No, if you moon the Pope, I guarantee you, if you moon the Pope on a Sunday, you'd get arrested and they'd kick you out the church.
Yeah. I got told that when I did go to Rome. Actually, I got told I got told to change my T-shirt. I had this Marilyn Manson T-shirt on at the time, which I'm kind of disgusted I had now. But it's but it said like Marilyn Manson bigger than Satan, and I was about to walk into to Peter Square with that. And they were like, you better change that T-shirt.
Oh wow, the Vatican. That's definitely a place to go before you die, if you can afford to go. If it doesn't get destroyed.
Well, I think it's ground zero for most nuclear targeting of Rome.
I look at it more as a museum and less as like the Catholic Church, because they have more. It's like the UK. They have a ton of stolen art, and France
turned
too.
into a museum.
Let's spread the love. Like the Louvre, go to the Louvre. A lot of that stuff was pillaged during World War II.
A lot of people forget the Pope was kind of okay with Hitler.
Exactly. So, that's actually in the Catholic Church.
I'll say yes and no on that. Yes and no on that one. I'd actually suggest people go and read Tim O'Neill's on History for Atheists. Did a very good article on the Catholic Church and the Nazis, and there's a lot of misconceptions people have on that, so it's well worth a read.
I'm watching people speed.
And Tim I can assure you, Tim is no apologist for the Catholic Church either. So
yeah, I can't stand the Catholic Church. I hope it burns to the ground. I'm watching people speed crochet, and I think this might be one of my new hobbies. I don't know if it's because I'm smoking a bunch of beautiful marijuana, but this is actually quite soothing, watching people speed crochet. Carry on. Catholic Church, end of the world.
Yeah.
Did you see that video on Twitter of the woman knitting a miniature sweater for a miniature fake frog?
No.
It's like a minute, 2 minute video, and it is just, well, for an emotional basket case like me, it was an absolute cry fest, because they used the music in the background from the film Up's first 3 minutes.
Yeah, I saw it. It was cute.
See, I was told I don't have a soul because I didn't cry for that movie.
Yeah, you don't have a soul.
Well, I get that, because there's some movies that everyone else gets broken up by, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was sad. But there's some movies that I get really upset about that no one else thinks was anything big.
I cried during the Forrest Gump, and I don't know anybody else who did. So
the one that gutted me, especially after my son was born, like, I don't think I saw it before he was born, but after my son was born, I became a little bit more of a pussy, was John Q. like the ending of John Q when he's in the hospital, like I felt that.
Okay, I agree with you, but I'm speaking to people of color right now. If you go through all of that, don't tell your child to sell out at the end of the movie. I fired Denzel after that.
Well,
Sell out.
okay, one of
It
the
makes me
ones,
angry.
one of my all-time favorite movies is The Last Unicorn. And it's like, okay, yeah, the production values were not great, but just, the story really got to me.
I've got a thing, okay? Now, if you want to know what had me this close to blubbing my eyes out, I watched it last week. If you've not seen it, or if you've not heard of it, it's a sin. Watch that fucker.
Watch what?
It's a sin.
Oh, it's a sin.
I haven't watched that yet. Is it?
This is
The,
your
the movie I can't watch is Bridge to Terabithia.
Let me just do this one. It's a British thing. It's a mini series. It's five episodes. And it won lots of awards. It was shown originally last year, Channel 4, Jeff. And it's got Stephen Fry in it and lots of other famous people. And I only wanted to watch it because it got such good reviews and what have you. And also because some of the scenes, even though it's based in London, some of the scenes were set where I am from and where I came from, which is like 300 miles away from London. But I got really hooked into it within the first 10 minutes. And it really drew me in. And yes, I was like, that lump in your throat? The youngsters here might not get this, but it was about it. It's not a sad thing. It's light-hearted, funny, but it's about AIDS in the 80s in the UK.
Ooh.
Don't get scared. Yeah. Don't get scared because it is a really fucking good thing. And it will make you get that lump in your throat. It's a fucking brilliant thing. 5 episodes, so take 5 hours out of your life and watch that fucker.
Okay, question mostly for the Brits because you might know. I'm trying to remember the name of a movie. It had Keira Knightley in it, and she's one of yours. And she is interested in this guy, and she has like a younger sister or cousin or something like that, who falsely accuses the guy that she wants to marry of sexually assaulting, their cousin or whatever, and he gets sent off to prison, and then they let him out of prison to go fight in World War One, I think it is. Might have been 2. And, then she goes off to be a nurse, and a whole bunch of lives are ruined because of this false allegation. It was really a friend of the family's that did the assault, but she wanted to be a writer, and so she had concocted this story and just kind of rolled with it that he was the one that did it, even though the one that actually assaulted the cousin was the older guy that ended up grooming her to be his wife.
I haven't seen this movie, so.
Oh my god. I can't remember the name of it. I watched it a couple years back, and it's been driving me crazy.
Kitty, if you want to know, just go to IMDb, punch in Keira Knightley's name, and her entire filmography will come up.
Yeah, but she's been in a lot of shit.
She hasn't been that many,
Well,
a young.
Sorry.
It should be a fairly easy lookup.
I mean,
yeah, well,
you'd be surprised how long she's been around, actually. But
yeah. It'll list them by date, so if you know roughly what year it was, you can really cut it down.
I think it came out maybe 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, you want to see a big search too. Oh God, what's his name?
A lot of people don't. There's a lot of people don't realize that she was in episode 1 of Phantom Menace, Star Wars. A lot of people don't realize Keira Knightley's in that.
Yeah, she basically played like the body double
The
for
double for Natalie Portman's
Natalie
character.
Portman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she actually on screen, like with one of the fake
Yeah.
Padme?
Oh, yeah.
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 Like when
yeah,
you
she
see
was the fake
Padme
Padme.
as like Padme, you know, was played by Natalie Portman, and then the Queen Amidala in all the makeup, that was Keira Knightley, until you find out later that Padme, the servant, is actually Queen Amidala.
Wow.
Can I just point out that I'm still really pissed off that I'm the only person on the planet who didn't realise that Sigourney fucking Weaver was in Galaxy Quest. This is going to bug me forever.
You didn't know that still?
No.
You didn't know that?
No, I came here to talk about her arse, and these
well,
people tell me that it's Sigourney Weaver. I didn't know it was Sigourney Weaver.
Herein lies the problem still. You actually might want to like try looking at her face or something and not at her bottom. You might be able to tell that it was Sigourney Weaver.
Duel, I can make you feel much better about this. I watched the first time I watched Galaxy Quest. I didn't know it was Sigourney Weaver till the end credits.
Ah, there you go. See, not just me.
She looked that different.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good idea for me. The name of the film is Atonement. 13-year-old fledgling writer Brianne Tallis irrevocably changes the course of several lives when she accuses her older sister's lover of a crime he did not commit. And it has Keira Knightley and James McAvoy as like the two leading roles. So James McAvoy plays the boyfriend of Keira Knightley. Yeah,
Elizabeth Hackett.
Thank you.
I didn't see it because I was looking at something in another window at the time.
Yeah,
it came out in 2007.
Oh, crickets, you're driving me crazy. And she's from Portland. That's my friend. Respect, Elizabeth. She's a really, really nice person. And these crickets are killing me. Portland, Oregon in the house.
But thank you.
I can hear the crickets.
Nice to meet you, Liz. I saw your name and I figured that you were a new person here too. I didn't recognize your name. Welcome.
She works really hard and she's awesome, and she's a writer, and Portland, Oregon, and she's a really hardworking American, a real one, not just a shit talky one like me. She goes to work every day.
But like,
she knows all about you.
Yeah, I've known her since like 2012.
Oh, that could be good.
Portland, Oregon.
But if anybody is like really into like film, you know, the director Joe Wright, like his filming and cinematography is great. He there's like one scene on the battlefield where it's done in just one really long take, and so you've got like all this stuff happening and it just feels really immersive, and it's wonderfully done. The subject matter is dark and it's a sad movie, and it doesn't, well, it's a sad movie. And but the cinematography is amazing, and like I said, just it's really good. Definitely recommend it.
You said it's Keira Knightley and
it's called Atonement,
McAvoy,
and it's got James McAvoy. Yes, yeah, I love because I thought he was really good, and he doesn't get enough credit because but that film, The Last King of Scotland, with Forrest Whitaker, which obviously Forrest Whitaker stole the bloody show in that, but I mean that's a dark Forrest
film.
Whitaker.
Yeah, I don't think that's the one where he played Idi Amin. That's a dark film.
You know who I really who passed away way too young, and I'm forgetting his name, and I'm embarrassed. He played the prisoner in The Green Mile with Tom Hanks.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes,
yeah.
That's it. God, he was so good.
Yeah, no, The Green Mile, I fucking love that movie. I mean, Tom Hanks is solid, but honestly, he stole the show. And of all of King's adaptations, The Green Mile is probably his best. And then I would say right behind it would be the original miniseries of It. Like, I've seen the remake of it, and it's okay. I've seen the remake of Pet Sematary. I think the original was a little bit better than the remake. They're both cheesy and campy, but you know, a lot of King's work is camp. Yeah. You know, like a car that comes to life and kills people. Yeah, I mean, definition.
See, I think one of the worst King adaptations was The Running Man. I think, which actually because King's got another pen name called Richard Bachman, which he uses when he's doing like other genres like sci-fi or whatever.
What was the one that took place on an
But
airplane?
it's nothing. It's nothing like, but it is absolutely nothing like the book. But they actually wanted to call it Stephen King's The Running Man, with like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Stephen King is like, no, you are not putting my name on this shit, on this film.
Kitty, I believe it's the Langoliers. I could be wrong.
You know, the Langoliers was the one that they were all in an airport, and these, you know, like nothing worked.
And Stephen King's Plumber.
Yeah, it was the Langoliers.
I
love King's work. Like, I do. It's fun. He's, you know, he's brilliant, like at like world building and how he interconnects different things. Like, essentially, It and The Shining are connected. I mean, and a lot of stuff happens around, you know, Derry, Maine, but actually, like, there's like a whole meta universe with his books, and everything kind of slots into place. And like, that's brilliant, being able to do such vast world building. It can get a little bit like in the weeds though, and it can be a little bit bogged down, and like there's a lot of like stuff that you could, you know, do without.
Kitty, are you saying that between novels there's a basic connection of the universe that it exists in? That
Yes.
Like Shining has something with one of his later ones?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I don't read Stephen King. His stuff is just too scary for me. I can't deal with it.
Really?
Actually, the little black boy from It, I believe, was actually a relative of the black man from The Shining, if I recall correctly. But I do know there's a connection there, and that like that shining psychic ability, like you see it a little bit more you see it more in the book than you do in the miniseries. But the original like miniseries, it showed how they could tell when something was wrong with each other. Like when one of them got hurt, they all felt it. They were essentially using, you know, a shine in a way. And basically the way it was described is it's brought about by childhood trauma. Like the Losers Club in It, they all had trauma. The girl was being molested by her dad. The fat kid was being shamed. The Jew was dealing with anti-Semitic stuff. The one kid had a stutter, so he got picked on for it. So like they'd all experienced bullying and like trouble with their home lives and just bad. Same thing with Danny. Like he had an abusive father, and he developed The Shining, you know, which is just, it's a psychic awareness and ability. And he only got the name The Shining because that's what the caretaker guy in the hotel called it, because it's what his grandmother called it, where they could just communicate psychically, like they had telepathic abilities. And all of the kids in the Losers Club from It had those same abilities. And again, like there was a connection. I think it was that those two characters in the two separate ones were actually related. Like, but I would have to go digging again. But yeah, like there's like a whole lot of connection. And you'll notice like certain areas keep showing up again. Like Derry will be mentioned in like other books of his that don't even take place there, but it's like an offhanded reference because it's all taking place in like this big, like vast universe.
That is interesting. You know, I don't know how many books he's written, but I know it's dozens and dozens and dozens.
Oh yeah, he's a prolific writer.
I have a huge box. My mom was a fan. It's actually something I used to do when I was a kid, was read Stephen King books because they were so involving and huge. Like, have you ever seen The Stand? It's this. It's not as big as War and Peace, but it's big. It's big. It was the good. It was the
Okay.
best of times. It was the worst of times.
I was actually thinking should start wrapping it up here because by the time we finish that, we'll have been going 3 hours.
What a killjoy.
Okay, real quick, I pulled up an article. So
Okay.
it's especially satisfying, or there's a lot of Easter eggs for astute readers. And when King's Bigger Worlds collide, like when it's revealed that Annie Wilkes from Misery had business at the Shining's Overlook Hotel, it crosses over with a number of King's novels, usually in the form of Pennywise's lasting legacy. However, the release of Mike Flanagan's adaptation of Dr. Sleep hints at an exciting connection between it and King's The Shining. The biggest hint that there's some kind of connection here is that both the True Knot and Pennywise feed off the fear of children. While their methods may be slightly different, they fall back on the same basics. Furthermore, Pennywise speaks of the delicious fear that resides within children in an extremely similar way to how Rose the Hat and the rest of the True Knot do, almost as if they've spent time together. And there's more here in the article, but I know
I don't read Stephen King either, but I thought that was really a lot of the point of the Dark Tower series was to explain all these connections.
I wonder if at some point he's going to, when he knows he's starting to wind down on his career, that he'll put them all together and make it obvious to the reader that what you think has been happening is true, and do some sort of synopsis of the universe.
Yeah.
I hope before he dies, he tells us where he buried all the bodies, because he's one sick mofo. Like, think about it. Like, the person who wrote Saw, would you want that person to be your neighbor? They have the right to walk around and exist, but I don't know if I'd want that person around me in an emergency situation.
I detest those movies. Well,
Same.
I will say this. I thought originally they had a very good concept and idea with it. Then it just become more and more about the torture porn and less about what I thought they had the potential, I think, to tell a really good story, because I think Jigsaw is an interesting character, but it just developed more and more into just torture porn, and I just found it sickening.
Same. That's why I would watch. I had an ex-girlfriend who was into those movies, and I would sit there and be like, it takes a really tortured human being to sit around and think of things like this and then interpret it and put it into a movie script. Regardless.
Okay, so yeah, Dick Halloran, who was the guy at the Overlook Hotel, the black man who taught the little boy about his psychic gifts, he actually was in Derry, Maine in the book. I knew I remember that. I was just trying to fact check myself.
Yeah. Mind you, what was it? Who's that guy? Was it Wes Craven, who directed all like the Nightmare on Elm Street things and Scream? Is the quote he said once. He said, "Horror films don't create serial killers; they just make serial killers more creative."
I mean, makes sense.
There's only so many ways you can freak out, I guess. They give them new ideas. I gotta clean my Hobbit pipe.
For some people, writing stories like that is kind of their therapy. Because, I mean, everybody's got their demons. Everybody's got some thoughts that they'd rather no one else ever found out about.
And that's why thought crime should never be a crime. Because there's a difference between thinking something and acting on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but today's world, especially with social media, if you even utter one of those thoughts that you have that you would never ever act on, just the fact that you mention it and write it down, people will come and harass you or whatever they think is appropriate.
Well, if you go and post it publicly, that's kind of something different. if you're just writing it down, journaling for yourself.
Where do you draw the line though? Because recently at a high school in my town, a kid wrote, I'm gonna do blah 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 on the walls. Well, they freaked out and they went to his house, and this child had a firearm.
Yeah.
You know, so where's
Well,
you know,
I
like
can
mean, if you-
understand being concerned, but
Well, that's back to the whole argument of gun control and mass murders and the psychological behind it. Yes. How do you know who's the next?
I mean, there are definitely markers and signs. I mean,
if
where you can kind of keep an eye out, but I
what
don't
I'm
think
saying
it's
is, like,
possible to fully predict.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
100% agree with you. But if you run or like, I don't know, it's not necessarily thought crime. If someone runs around and telling you what they're gonna do,
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a
believe
difference
Well,
between
yeah,
writing a
exactly.
journal or writing a novel and writing a manifesto.
Yeah.
Is it
But-
really though? Like you could read I guess I wasn't threatening anybody. I
A big
was
part
just
of
on
the
emo.
problem now is that nobody pays attention to it. You know, that this kid in Texas, you know, they're talking to people who knew him now, and they're like, oh yeah, he had a history of torturing animals and all this kind of shit, and you know, being abusive to girls. And it's like, okay, and nobody put this together that he was going to be dangerous if he got weapons.
Well, and in one of the forums he was on, or like one of the Facebook groups, like they joked about how he was going to end up becoming a mass shooter.
It's,
Yeah. And yet,
I just-
you know, nobody tried to get this kid into therapy or tried to get him any kind of help.
I agree 100%. But how do you translate? Sorry, Jeff. How do you translate that to the real world and not intrude into someone's home, or not? Because what's going to happen is people are going to start accusing each other. Like here in California,
Yeah, as he was a teenager, obviously the parents should have paid some attention to this first.
I agree.
Like the Buffalo shooter going down that right-wing rabbit hole, you know, getting fucking radicalized by Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and their ilk.
I mean, I thought, you know, I always thought Tucker Carlson was bad. I think only recently have I discovered just how bad that guy actually is.
But the general pattern seems to be right-wing radicalization plus, you know, trouble interacting with their peers, be it bullying or they're an outcast or what have you, and easy access to firearms.
I would like to encourage everybody who's in chat on panel, tell your family and friends, have them participate. Go and listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene's tirade today, the one that came out on Twitter and stuff today, and then you ask the question: how long is it going to be now until a mass shooter takes out dozens of transgender people?
I saw a video of something that she did a few days ago. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was their rubbish about monkeypox, which it was disgusting.
Yeah.
But just the way she was acting in that, I suddenly thought for the first time that I think this woman's a bit of a po. I don't think she really believes half the shit that comes out of her mouth. But that doesn't make her any less. But that doesn't make her any. Yeah, that doesn't make her any less dangerous by any. In fact, it makes it worse if anything.
Or not, and that's where the danger is. And she's running for re-election right now. Her entire campaign and her entire personal idiom is based on violence and hate. And that's
I hope
with her constituents right now. She's trying to build that hate up again.
She ran out unopposed, didn't she? Like the first time. I mean, I don't think that's going to be the case this time. I really hope she gets that voted out. I really do, but I don't. But
it's a great.
There's a court case against her, isn't there, to try to prevent her from running again?
She won.
Oh.
She
It's
won.
it's pure and simple. It's another grift, and I don't understand how sane people don't recognise it. She does not believe the shit that she's saying.
Okay,
It's a grift. Simple as.
is the problem that sane people don't recognize it, or just that a third of the U.S. population is no longer sane?
I think it's more the latter. I mean, like, David Rubin is a Poe. Like, Dave Rubin is a grifter. Like,
He's a grifter.
Marjorie
but
Taylor
this is,
Greene, I honestly think her and Boebert are stupid enough to believe. Her, Boebert, and Candace Owens are stupid enough to believe at least 80% of the shit they spew.
This,
I
to me,
believe
this
that
is not
MCP
rocket
believes
science.
Everything she says.
This is not rocket science. Boba is an idiot, but she's doing the grift. It just happens that she's also a moron. Perjury Taylor Greene is a grifter, full stop. She doesn't believe any of the crap she's saying.
You're wrong.
Rubin, I mean, this is this is like the Rubin principle. They're appealing. The grift is to appeal to that certain, very rabid, right-wing, hateful bunch of people out there because it makes a shit ton of money. It's one of the most lucrative grifts
I got it.
out there.
Garbage.
I think Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene have to be that batshit out there crazy with the stuff they say because they're both white women. Whereas, Candace Owens has the, token black person and fucking Dave Rubin is the token gay. So
Nobody says that but white people, though. You have to know black people don't. They just look at Candace Owens like she's black. Like nobody. That's kind of a misnomer when you call Candace Owens the token black person. Because I know a lot of black people that are Republicans, a lot of black people that agree with her,
Well,
No,
that's
but she's-
And I'm not saying it's a good thing, but like I know a gang of black men that voted for Trump. I'm related
Yeah,
to a
but
bunch of them.
Candace
it
Owens
doesn't change the
was
fact that the Republican Party is tokenizing both of them to try to
Candace
get people
Owens
to vote.
was a member of Turning Point, so she was the token black person within Turning Point, which, if you're not familiar with, is a very nasty right-wing organisation that targets the youth in colleges. We've got it over here, Jeff.
And now you've got
Turning Point
PragerU
UK.
Yeah.
for kids.
They are
That's-
groomers.
so-
and Marjorie Taylor Greene she's a piece of garbage. She's retweeting people that are saying like, "Don't come to America. Your kids are not safe." And she's like, "Yeah, we don't want you here.
Okay.
Like, we don't want you here either."
Yeah,
Right,
I really didn't want to start going down this rabbit hole.
All
Yeah,
right.
I-
I know.
Right.
God,
The only
sound like
reason-
different waitress. Good night.
Yeah, I just was to say the only reason I kind of think that about Marjorie Taylor Greene now is it was just the way she acted in that video, and she was going on about. I mean, it was disgusting what she was saying. It was like monkeypox. It was like the stuff you heard about AIDS in the 80s. Let's put it that way. But it's the fact that she just couldn't seem to keep a straight face while she was doing it, and it was the first time I was thinking,
Okay,
hold on, you don't really believe what you're saying.
Enough
Yeah.
politics here.
Really quick,
Okay.
Slothgrl. First off, thank you and happy birthday, Slothgrl.
Happy
And
birthday.
my dad used to always say that at the end of every conversation. He'd be like, "Oh, have a good day." He'll be like, "Oh, you'll be billed." So you should say that to all of us. You'll be billed.
Slothgrl, thank you for being alive and well and taking care of so many people the way you do. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And you deserve all the adulation and tribute that people can get to you.
I miss you.
Yeah,
I miss you, Slothgrl.
Being locked up through COVID, Slothgrl spent most of her time, like I say, she made like 400 masks, and she was crocheting hats for all the homeless people.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
You know,
I have a girl hat, and
I'm gonna mail you some oil, some
she
Singer
was
oil.
doing like double layer crocheted hats to get them through the Minnesota winters.
Wow.
So
I want to get one of
Okay.
those knitting machines, that you crank and it does it in like a spiral.
I'm scared of those. I see them at Walmart all the time. I'm like, am I that bored? I'm scared of those.
Yeah.
I won't
The
So
Sloth
if-
Girl has one, and an anonymous donor got her an upgrade on it, so she passed her older one down already.
Just before you stop doing the Perjury Taylor Greene stuff, check out my name. She actually used that phrase the other day.
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. Anybody who has anything to plug? Stool, I know things are going kind of weird for you now, but you got anything coming up?
Yeah, don't even go there. Eat sandwiches. Sandwiches are sexy. Also, just for the benefit of the future viewers, when you're watching a film, always ask yourself, is this Sigourney Weaver?
I'm surprised you did not memorize her bum.
You know what? Whilst you grown-ups have been having an adult conversation, I've been looking at photos of Sigourney Weaver, so fuck you all. I hate myself so much.
Okay, Kitty.
I don't really have anything going on right now. Not that I know of. Other than just the random stuff on TikTok.
Jeff, you got anything happening?
I might possibly stream a bit later today, like sort of lunchtime or something. I'm thinking of a non-Jubilee stream, shall we say? You know. Also, I'm also sort of been like doing a little spotting up. So I think maybe in the next couple of days I might either be streaming or just record a video about null hypothesis in default position, because certain prominent atheists don't seem to know what the fuck they mean, and I'm not going to say who, but I feel like it needs addressing.
Okay, Mage.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Slothgrl, and just remember, statistically, those who have the most birthdays live longest.
Okay, good advice there, yeah.
I love it.
Okay, Jenny. Now I know Wednesday you're going to be on with Granny.
Yeah, we're gonna talk like we know anything about deconversion therapy, and scream and yell at a bunch of right wingers, kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing anything else before then.
Okay. Will?
Godless Sewing. Go check out the Godless Sewing channel. I'm probably gonna do DIY something. I have like 4 projects on this table because I sew it and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a video about it. So I'll figure it out. Godless Sewing. Tip your waitress on your way out. Mean what you say.
Okay.
Godless Sewing.
And I'll be on with on the Shills channel Saturday at 6, and back here Wednesday at noon and Thursday at 10 p.m. And with that, I just need to thank all of my contributors, and thanking Robert X, who is a Patreon subscriber and has also always been out here shilling out my links for me.
Yay.
Yep. And Ox and Greg Hartwick, Dog, Lavender Lady, Jyuni the Apostate, and certainly my 2 biggest contributors now are Mark Caesar and Skits Crasher. So thank you all for keeping things going here for me. And we will see you all next week.
My
Bye.
eyebrows are real.
Bye-bye all.
Sigourney Weaver is evil.
Bye, chat.